From the Smyth Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smyth Radio. You can tweet at Smyth Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all late-breaking updates last week, wrapping it all up, giving you what is the real news, exposing the fake news, telling you all about it. This is going to be an incredible show, just like every single week. I promise you. If you're new on the show, please hit the share, hit the like. We'll go back. We'll wind up following you after the show. Please let your friends, your family know about this. This is Military Veteran Talk Radio. Back in the 90s, I was in the Air Force, and back in the 90s, my cousin Carrie was in the Marine Corps. We've been doing this talking politics for probably about 15, 16, 17 years, on and off. And 5 years ago, we decided that we wanted to document the demise of America and where it was going, because nobody was going to believe how it really unfolded under Barack Hussein Obama. So that's when we did Smyth Radio. We are audio only. This is our first year video starting in January of this year. And it's all because of you Patreons out there. Thank you so very, very much to every single one of the Patreons at Smyth Radio. If you want to get some, and we got some new gear, if you will, folks. Go to smithradio.com. You check out, look at the right side of the screen, and it's all by itself, and it's a scrolling box, and it's got new T-shirts and mugs and all kinds of great, awesome stuff. So you can check that out. Help support the show. Help support new news media. This is who we are.
Real news
media from I was going to get it mixed up. American Priorities Conference is coming up in December 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's where new news media is getting together. That's where you're going to find a lot of great information. Be there, be square. American Priorities Conference.
We're getting flooded with press requests, pass requests, so it is going to be jammed. You guys don't want to miss this.
Yes, and I want to give a great shout-out, a very great thanks to New Right Network for supporting Smyth Radio and being a part of Smyth Radio, actually periscoping and putting this up live on their Periscope as well as the YouTube channel, I believe.
Oh, so you got these in.
Yeah, you like those?
Yeah, I was like, something looks different here. Oh, I like that. Awesome.
Thank you, Amazon Bezos, for supporting the show. I appreciate that.
He'll appreciate you pronouncing his name properly, too. I used to thought it was Bezos.
I don't know where I got it.
Yeah, you must have heard it pronounced properly. I'm like, Bezos. Somebody's like, whoa, dude, we do not pronounce it the way you did.
Right. So if you want to catch the show audio only, you can go to iHeartRadio. Either go to the website, smithradio.com, and crush the iHeart button and then save it as your favorite, or just go to iHeart and do Smyth space, and that's Smyth, S-M-Y-T-H, space radio, and then it'll pop up under podcast, so you can always catch us on iHeart on the go, as well as just about everywhere. And because Facebook has their own personal issues, they will not allow us to go live on Periscope and Facebook at the same time, or
is
YouTube,
that the reason? Oh, okay.
Or YouTube and Facebook at the same time. But YouTube and Periscope are cool.
That is so weird.
Facebook's odd.
That might just be, there might be something else going on there. I don't know.
So we repost the show live on Facebook. Please check it out on Monday night. Share it with your friends and your families. If you've watched us on Sunday night, just go back on Facebook, and when you see it pop up, just hit the like and hit the share.
Right.
Much obliged. Appreciate it. Oh, and you can share it with all your political groups that you're in.
Oh, that is so helpful.
And I just want to let you know that Facebook has become pretty big for us. We're close to almost every single show, about 10,000 views on Facebook, hundreds and hundreds of shares to different groups and different 22,000 impressions, all kinds of great stuff on Facebook. So let's keep that going until we're permanently banned from Facebook, till the Zuckerberg gets a hold of us.
Do you call him Zuckerberg?
No. Did you?
That's just what I heard.
No.
We got this new sound equipment over here that just makes everything really pop.
So when I say Mark Zuckerberg, it sounds like I'm saying Zuckerberg when I'm not.
Okay.
Good old Marky Mark.
Oh, you just called him Marky Mark.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yes.
Everybody.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, we're going to get into a couple different things. Folks, happy, it depends on who you are. Happy Armistice Day. Armistice Day. The 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. We'll talk about that a little bit. Happy Veterans Day today. There's a reason why it is the 11th day of the 11th month. Armistice was signed at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. And as Carrie was in the Marine Corps and I was in the Air Force, we'll talk a little bit about that and our feelings about the military and where we come from. And I'm pushing my kids all in. Say, don't ask me for college money because you probably shouldn't go there anyways. But I'm just saying.
Maybe Hillsdale College.
Oh, yeah. But I don't know who's going to pay for that.
I know, because they don't get any
government assistance.
They don't get assistance. No.
And we're going to get into, not only is this Veterans Day, it's a very, very special day for us folks, but also part of this special day is that at one point in time, I thought we were kind of over the hump of the coup d'etat. I thought we were getting close to getting.
I think we're further from a coup d'etat right now than we were a couple months ago. I think so.
Really? Even after what's going on in Florida?
See, I feel like that's something different because a coup d'etat is a direct assault on whatever leader they're trying to get rid of. This is like, hey, you know what this is? This is Plan B.
Oh, okay. Plan B is a coup.
Yeah. So you have a coup. If the coup doesn't work out the way we want, which is why I'm feeling, as far as the coup is concerned, it seems like we are, that is something that is less of a danger right now than was a couple months ago, which is why they are now resorting to what seems to me to be Plan B. If you can't illegally bypass a duly elected democratic process of choosing who our leader is per the Constitution with a coup d'etat, then you will do an illegal steal of democracy itself, which is what seems to be happening here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I am not ashamed to say it. I was caught flat-foot here, big time. I did not think they would have the guts to do something so brazen.
My thought about that is that if they would have known the monster vote was coming out in 2016. Okay. If they had known and they had correct information, they didn't believe the pundits that they paid for. They didn't believe the fake polling news. They didn't believe all that fake stuff. If Hillary Clinton and the DNC had the foresight to see
that the monster vote was coming,
I think they would have done this for the election, 2016.
Brian, you must have forgotten something. They had something massive planned out, and we were saved by Project Veritas. They were going to do the massive voter fraud thing. And I honestly think, and if you guys have listened to Smyth Radio for a long time, I said this at least in probably 2 different shows, if not more, that the expose of the attempted steal of the election in 2016 that Project Veritas came out with may have saved the election. It may have saved the Donald Trump win, because I think what happened when that happened is the major players that were involved in that got cold feet. They were like, whoa, this is hot. This is way too hot. Too much heat on us right now. We got to back off. In fact, I think we should abort mission. And so it seems as though it didn't happen. Should we recap?
Well, the DNC guy, I think, resigned immediately after the video came out.
That would not surprise. How is he not in prison? So basically what the story was, and Brian actually knows a lot more of the detail than I do, but they were going to use these shell companies, fake companies. They're not legally fake because you actually apply for them.
Well, yeah, as long as you can found any corporation you want under any name in all 50 states of America for
like on paper, right?
Yeah,
like for not have any employees, not a building, not any product,
no bank account, no nothing, no tax. Okay. Now you don't even have tax ID. That's about $125. Okay, and you can do everything online and get it all done in about 10 minutes.
So we can do Brian's widgets. Go out there and create a paper, and somebody looking this up would say, "Oh, that's a company." But then, right, and then you go out and you look for a building, you look for a fleet of vehicles, you look for a bank account, or it's all literally just done by paper. Paid $125 to make it happen. So here's what you do: at that point, you can then give pay stubs, paychecks to anybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
And apparently, and I didn't know this until some people had let us on this, a pay stub can be used to verify residence, which can then be used to go get registered to vote.
Online.
Right. And so, or what, however they do it.
Well, our secret caller who called in weeks before the 2016 election.
Right.
We went through the whole thing, and she went down the list of everything. She figured out exactly how to do it 100% online in Ohio with never having to show your driver's license.
Wow. So here's how it would work. And by the way, this is the thing that not enough people know about stealing elections and illegals voting. I'm talking illegal immigrants. People that are not supposed to be here. They may not even have a green card. They just totally jumped the border and they're here illegally. People are like, yeah, well, illegals aren't voting. And if you listen to a Democrat, they will tell you, show me the evidence or the proof or any indication of any conviction of an illegal voting. Show me the ballot where an illegal said, yeah, I'm from Mexico City. That's where I live.
Well, that would never happen. You're asking me to show you something that doesn't exist. That doesn't mean that isn't factual evidence that an illegal did or did not vote. Me showing you that information.
Or us failing to be able to show that information does not mean, we have no illegals voting because we have no evidence of it. No, here's the thing that they don't understand. Once you have the registration, it's game, set, match.
Oh, yeah.
Your dog can literally go and vote if you get the registration. And the reason why is because you go in and you're on the voter rolls, and that's all that matters. Now, Brian, you tell me, if I am an illegal immigrant living in California, and I have or can I get a driver's license?
$110, Huntington Park.
So
up on Firestone Boulevard.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so.
And by the way, I am wearing my shirt. This is an oldie but goodie. This is America.
Kind of in the free 'em all. You can't see the bottom there.
Free 'em all world tour. It's back to back world champs.
So all the different wars. Oh, cool, with the dates and everything. So anyway, that kind of looks like Kill 'Em All Metallica album.
Now so if you're in California and you've got all that set up and you just need your ballot, here, give me a call and I'll give you one. I'll give you one of these.
Where's Brian going? He's going to give us something. He's going to do show and tell. Yeah. Oh, what is he? Oh my gosh!
These are from Broward County, y'all.
Oh yeah. Let's start counting them.
I got me some pigs. I got me some.
Oh. Anyway.
And all the ballots right there.
Or at least some of them, right? Some provisionals. No. So check. Not getting too far off the beaten path here, not too far in the weeds, but so you have a shell corporation. Brian just pointed out that as an illegal immigrant, you can get a driver's license, a California driver's license, as an illegal immigrant. The driver's license is the only thing they ask for when you go and vote. Now, I know in some states, probably California is one of them, you don't even need an ID. So it's not like they look at you and say, this brown fella here looks like a Mexican, and you look at him, he doesn't even speak much English, and the English that he does speak is broken and has a heavy accent. I'm going to ask him if he's an illegal immigrant, and if he can't prove that he's legal, then I'm not going to let him vote. That does not happen.
No, not only that, but in Long Beach, California, SoCal, y'all, if you attempt to show an ID, they will, nope. They'll shield their eyes and tell you to put that away.
Because you might be upsetting some of the other people in line. You're literally suppressing people in line by showing an ID because people behind you might say, oh my gosh, Brian, I didn't bring my ID. I should get out of line. I should get out of line right now. I did not bring my ID.
Right.
So that's voter suppression. So anyway, let's just assume that you live in a state that you do have to show an ID.
Ohio.
In Ohio, I had to show my ID. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I didn't even know. I mean, I would love to test them and come with my ID, but tell them I don't have it and see what would happen because that would be voter suppression. They'd probably give me a provisional ballot or whatnot. But anyway, with that ID, they just check to make sure that you're the person on the voter rolls. Now, how do you get on the voter rolls? By getting registered. Well, if you're an illegal immigrant, if you can get the registration, that's it. That is it. There is no other, hey, you need to prove, even though you're on my roll. Brian Smith, yeah, okay, I see you're on my voter roll, but I don't think you're legal. I think you need to prove to me that you're a legal citizen. No.
Yo tengo papeles.
It's assumed that you are a legal citizen of the United States, legal to vote, because you're on the voter rolls, because you succeeded in the registration. Now, we uncovered, and so did Project Veritas after us.
Oh boy!
that and we had somebody help us out. It was our little secret call-in person who did a lot of work to uncover this. But to get a registration can be done for illegals. It's a little convoluted, but the scary part of it is that it can be done on a massive scale and can be done nationally. It doesn't have to be a little local thing.
If you paid, say you were George Soros and you wanted to pay $20,000.
Okay.
If you were to give somebody with the knowledge that I have $20,000, I would work for you for. Okay, I get the frozen screen, folks. Sorry about that.
Oops, sorry about the frozen screen.
I would work for you for $20,000. I'd work for you for probably about 2 months.
Okay.
And in 2 months, I'd put together a team of people, a dozen or so, and 8 hours a day. That's all we would do. 8 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. That's all we would do, would be creating new voters. And we could do thousands.
And you'd be able to do it because, and here's the thing, these are real people. Although they don't have to be. No. You could potentially, all you have to do is have a company that says, yes, Mickey Mouse, a person comes in and clocks in, and his name is Mickey Mouse. You've got the big ears and everything.
Right.
And
he flew into town on Dumbo.
Okay.
Dumbo 747.
Okay. A Dumbo jet.
A Dumbo jet.
And so he comes in, and I give him a check because he works for me. And by the way, this company, total shell company, it's not real. He doesn't actually come into work. I just submit or sign paychecks for Mickey Mouse. Now, Mickey Mouse will then send the pay stub in to prove where he works, his residence, and then they will send back the voter registration.
And not only that, but Mickey Mouse doesn't even have to be real. I can pretend to be him as well. I can be everybody.
That's where it gets really scary. But somebody has to. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have to physically show up to vote.
Oh, no.
You do the absentee ballots.
Okay,
so this could be done on an industrial scale, which is why I think that Donald Trump theoretically lost the popular vote by 3 million votes, which is interestingly close to the amount of votes he lost California by.
Right.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And so check this out. This is the first hour of the show, folks. We are going to delve into, that was a little brief history of 2016 and voter irregularities.
Right.
Well, we got 2018 that went down just a few days ago. Last Tuesday, I'm dumbfounded. I'm shocked. I'm beside myself. I'm beside myself with the fact that the information is coming out. We got citizen journalists on the beat with their cell phone in hand, and I've got videos that's going to absolutely shock you. Just as it shocked Matt Gaetz down in Florida. Matt Gaetz, Representative Gaetz, just absolutely going madman trying to make this expose the corruption that is down in Broward County. We also have a lot of corruption out in Arizona. Our good buddy Jack Posobiec interviewed Trevor Loudon last week.
Oh, cool.
We did it. We did Trevor Loudon a couple times, but that's all right, man. So he talked about the election, and he talked about the individuals that are being elected that are flat out communist ties. Yeah. And we'll get into that in a minute, but I also want to let you know that we're also going to talk about a couple other things in the show. Jeff Sessions was fired, did not quit, was fired. We're going to talk about that in detail. There's a lot of information that you need to know about this, and fake news is afoot, if you will. Fake news is everywhere on this as well. the 2018 midterms. We'll talk about that. Jim Acosta banned from the White House. His hard pass was revoked. And if you've listened to the show, you know a hard pass is something that you can acquire if you go every day. And once you have the hard pass, you're allowed to walk on the grounds and literally walk yourself to the press briefing room without having Secret Service escort. That has been removed from Acosta.
And it's been a long time coming. We've been screaming, not just us, everybody in our circle of MAGA leaders, I guess, have been saying, why don't they just revoke his press pass for a long time, especially the Korea debacle.
Right, without a doubt. The caravan invasion, there's some details that have popped up about that as well. And we're also going to tie into the 2016 2016. I'm having flashbacks all over again. And now that, I'll tell you what, Florida's having flashbacks, and AM Joy.
Oh boy, yeah.
Joy Reid went full-blown racist.
What?
And she's gone racist once again, and saying that Democrats are having flashbacks of 2000. Flashbacks of 2000 with George Bush and hanging Chads.
Okay. How's that racist, though?
Oh, no, Donald Trump was racist because he called out 3 different reporters that happened to all be black.
She's not the only one. Anna Navarro. It was a coordinated attempt at false accusations of racism because a whole bunch of people tweeted it out all within minutes of each other, and it was just hilarious. We cracked up because they seem completely oblivious to the fact that this is what fuels the Trump movement. It was that false accusations of racism is what successfully took down the Tea Party. Right. The Trump movement is an extension, is a revitalization of the Tea Party with the addition of this newfound steel nerve of we are not going to cower down when we are falsely accused of being a racist or racism or whatever. And I find it extremely refreshing, especially since I felt helpless when I saw the Tea Party dissolve before my eyes when clearly, demonstrably false accusations were being put on certain unknown people. We don't even know who these people were. They could have been plants, but then you see what happened and we realized that it was fake news, and it didn't matter because people weren't informing themselves on what really happened. They were just reading the headlines and saying, Brian, I have a job. I might lose my job over this. If my boss...
You know, we talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
You told me about some things that you were involved in that you didn't want people to know on find out on Facebook.
If people knew. Right. If people knew what I do.
Right.
Yeah, there's that. And so the thing fizzled because of that. It just actually totally dissolved, and there was no more Tea Party after that. And it was so successful that it was blatantly obvious when Trump came along that was the tried and true method that they went to. It seemed it was cookie cutter. They weren't even trying very hard. They were like, okay, somebody get out the database. What's the proper response to a uprising of conservatism against us politically? Start calling them racist. Okay, hop to it, boys. And then they went straight to it. But Trump showed a kind of courage to stand up to it that led us all to say, well, we like Trump. He's standing up and he's fighting back. Let's back him and let's tentatively back him. Let's be careful, cautious, and back him and stand up for him a little bit and see what happens. And guess what? His poll numbers went up when he was falsely accused of racism. And that was kind of this way of the Tea Party to get redemption and revenge for what had happened to them. And what happened? Then it expanded to the individual. So now it wasn't just Trump standing up for himself, but now the individual their courage has been strengthened because of Trump's leadership, is what I believed happened. And so now, fast forward to today, and you got Anna Navarro and all these other, Joy Behar and all these people saying, look at Trump, saying negative things to 3 black females, liberals in one day or something like that. And of course, everybody piled on to that narrative thinking that, oh, this is proof of racism. Come on, not only has he been president for 2 years, but he's started running, what was that, early 2015?
Oh, yeah. It's June.
So we're going into almost 4 solid years of attacks on Trump, false accusations of racism. How did they think they were going to be able to go back to this old, tired bag of tricks and suddenly, miraculously, it was going to work? It was almost as if they forgot that it didn't work for 3 straight solid years of multiple attempts, and they went back to it anyway. And I just find it hilarious, and I crack up. I'm like, oh, this is the part where the Trump movement gets emboldened and grows, because people who are on the fence on the Trump movement see the injustice of being called a racist when you're not, and that there's no proof of it. There's not even any evidence whatsoever. In fact, there's evidence that you're not racist, and yet you're being leveled these false charges. And people that are sitting on the fence are like, oh, I'm going to support that person because I think that they're being done wrong. And I think that the world will not be aligned properly without that person coming out on top. It's the rooting for the underdog and rooting for justice when injustice is right there in front of your face. That's what's happening. That is the Trump movement all in a nutshell right there.
No, absolutely 100%. And so today being Veterans Day, Armistice Day, 100th anniversary of the end of World War I, Donald Trump is in France.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know Macron.
I think it's pronounced Macron.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I'm good with that.
I think that's just the way to pronounce it.
Well, his teacher, wife, she guided him through the struggles of life.
Oh, because that's what teachers do with their students.
Wives.
Oh.
Right.
It's what his teacher is his wife?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or was that Trudeau?
No, I can't even remember. They're all
can't.
the same person. It's Trudeau, and you know what? You've never seen him in the same place at the same time.
Oh, I got a clip that does, but damn it.
Well, we could just.
Oh, it's a bot.
You can use special effects to do like a split screen thing and make it. Yeah. I mean, have you not seen Freaky Friday?
I have.
That is one actress.
Yeah, and all those people, right?
Yeah, it's one actress. They don't use twins in that movie. So there's the little
Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Love the Bomb.
Yeah, I think the same actor was 3 different characters, or Coming to America.
Yes,
Eddie Murphy played 3 characters in the. Oops, sorry.
And so did his sidekick.
Oh, there was There's like 10 people in a. Arsenio Hall.
Yeah, Arsenio Hall.
Oh boy.
So Trump's in France, and on his way to France, Macron actually rips on Trump. And I was looking for the tweet where it's unbelievable how these globalists just feel that they could go right after Trump for any reason. Emmanuel Macron rips nationalism as Trump looks on. Patriotism is the exact opposite of nationalism.
No.
Washington Post.
I think that he needs to explain that. I find that hard to believe. Patriotism
is the exact opposite of nationalism. Folks, it's in stark contrast. I mean, it's just an absolute goofball. I mean, this is insanity.
Patriotism is the quality of being patriotic, a vigorous support for one's country.
So one's own country.
I would think one's own country.
Right.
So nationalism.
There you go. It's the first one.
Oh. Nationalism is No! Oh, that's a joke, right? A patriotic feeling, principles, or effort. Like literally,
They're almost
the definition
interchangeable.
of nationalism is being patriotic. I mean, I did not plan this, folks. That is actually pretty
there's
funny.
stark contrast from each other.
Well, they're complete opposites.
Yes.
No, actually, I believe they're synonyms.
Yeah, well, one another.
At least.
So Trump tweets out President Macron, and he's got the little hashes over it too.
Oh, does he? I
No,
didn't know
I'm
that.
just joking. But
the
that would be
dots?
funny.
No, that's German. Anyway.
France has just suggested that Europe build its own military in order to protect itself from the U.S., China, and Russia.
What's the last time?
Very insulting, but perhaps Europe should first pay its fair share of NATO, which the U.S. subsidizes greatly.
No. You know what French military looks like? You know what's on their tanks, right?
Rear view mirrors?
Right.
Why?
So they could see where they're going when they're backing away.
Or watching the battle.
Watching the battle.
That's how you watch the battles, in your rear view mirror. Isn't that right, Frenchy French?
Like, see ya.
Hey, somebody look up the Maginot Line. Check that one out. That's another good military scheme that never heard a shot fired. The Maginot Line, after
more like
it was
the
General Maginot.
The Maginot Line.
Yeah, it's absolute. Well, it was imaginary to Hitler. He didn't even see it.
Well, he did see it, which is why he avoided it.
Oh, okay. Went all the way around it.
Yeah. So stupid.
So Lindsey Graham, I guess Lindsey Graham's a new made man. I don't know. Folks, I'm not saying I trust him. That's not what I'm doing.
The yellow envelope was buried with McCain. It's as simple as that.
Right.
And for those of you that don't know, the yellow envelope, there's a great scene in The Matrix where Agent Smyth plops down the yellow envelope and undoes the string and opens it up and pulls the contents out, and it's really thick. There's so much. And he starts thumbing through it, and it's the entire dossier on Neo. But in the case of Lindsey Graham, and pretty much 99% of all congressmen,
if you've been up there long enough,
the manila envelope generally has the black and white 8x10 photographs of you in compromising positions basically photographs.
Whether you were chloroformed or not, it don't make never mind.
Yeah. So the point is that these are photos that you would want to stay secret so badly that they have control of you.
That's how Rod Rosenstein got Jeff Sessions to recuse himself on day one.
I'll tell you what, that behavior by Sessions is proof of the yellow envelope, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
proof of it.
100%.
Marco Rubio, more evidence. I believe that if you look at somebody like Jim Jordan, the reason a lot of people may not realize this, because recently it's been talked about how if we retain the House that he would get Speaker of the House. That's not going to happen for at least 2 years now. But people don't realize that he's one of the most senior congressmen in all of Congress. There's like 435 congressmen. He's like one of the most senior ones. And yet, up until just recently, he's been almost completely unknown. When as recently as the debate over who should be picked as VP for Trump, which was 2016, I said Jim Jordan, absolutely. And everybody's like, wait, can you refresh me? Who's Jim Jordan again? Seriously, nobody knew who Jim Jordan was.
What state's he in? What
nobody knew who he was. And the reason why nobody knew him, even though he was one of the most senior congressmen out there, is because he's a Boy Scout. And when they tried to pull you can't get the yellow envelope without the roofie. And you can't get the roofie
if you don't do it.
If you don't drink at the cocktail parties.
Right.
And he's the type of person that if you invite him to a cocktail party, they were like, cocktail party with alcoholic beverage? I got other things.
Where's
going
my wife
on.
at?
Yeah, I gotta go. Or even if he does go to the party, hey, Jimmy boy, you like a cocktail?
No, I got my own. He's got his little flask on his inside coat pocket.
No, he's the type that's...
No, I know. I'm joking. That is not Jim Jordan.
Not. I don't know if he drinks or not, but he certainly is smart enough to not drink at a cocktail party in Washington, D.C. And so nobody could take compromising pictures with God knows what and no yellow envelope, and which is why he never achieved power until very recently. And he's achieving power the same way that Trump did, which is just a populist message, basically, which is constitutionalism. And by the way, Jim Jordan's not a populist, but embracing the principles of the Constitution is very popular in America.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why.
So with Trump in France and Macron just saying awful things and idiotic things that are just dumb, flat out dumb.
Okay.
And so Trump... tweets back, and you're dumb. And then Lindsey Graham out on Twitter said, I completely understand why President at real Donald Trump was insulted by French President Macron's suggestion that Europe needs to form an army to protect it from Russia, China, and the U.S. So there you go. I tweeted out, I said, globalist elite. I called him globalist elite. Emmanuel Macron, and then I posted that article up. So it's just so sad to see world leaders just fall flat on their face. It really is, especially on this day today where America celebrates Veterans Day, and as we're celebrating Veterans Day,
can I just make one comment about that?
Go
what
ahead.
Macron's trying to do. He was under Daddy's roof. And he was getting, he could raid the refrigerator whenever he wanted. He was being protected from the elements by living in Daddy's home. And Daddy finally came down and said, hey, you got to start paying rent. And now he's going around talking about how he's going to live somewhere else. Meanwhile, he ain't doing it. Right?
Right.
That's what I feel. It's a good analogy, right?
Yeah, no, pretty much.
That's my analogy. Anyway.
So while we celebrate Veterans Day, Poland. Mm-hmm. And we have a good friend who migrated from Poland to America, whether it's through marriage or I'm not sure the history of how she got here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's true.
You know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. You talk politics about to that woman. That's a woman you want to talk politics
it was
to.
through marriage. She actually got married in Germany and then came over with the American husband, and she's just awesome.
I asked her,
one of these days we're gonna have her on the show because she's entertaining.
What are politics like in Poland? Oh,
she just went on and on.
No, it's now nonstop. But it was really fascinating to hear about that from another country. I asked a woman formerly from the Ukraine the exact same question, and she gave me a dirty eye look.
Really?
And then I asked her, so what do you think of Putin? She gave me a double dirty eye look.
Oh, gosh.
I don't think of Putin. And walked away.
Oh.
So that's from the Ukraine, from the Poland, two polar opposites.
Everybody's got a different personality. We just lucked out and had a friend who, from Poland, happens to be very opinionated, very smart, and very talkative.
Right.
Loves to talk about and not scared to speak her mind, which is just a load of fun.
Right. And this from Poland posted on the internet.
This year, on America's Veterans Day,
we, the people of Poland, mark our 100th Independence Day.
A rebirth you helped us regain.
Entering World War I, America declared
an independent Polish state should be erected.
That generation fought for your freedom and ours.
Knowing freedom isn't free. So, this Veterans Day, we say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Veterans Day, America. Happy 100th Independence Day for Poland.
Wow.
That is a beautiful sentiment. Thank you so much, Poland, for that. I'm not taking, not for me, but for America, for our ancestors, our great grandfather? Not Paul Henry.
I don't have any Polish ancestors.
No. Fought in World War I.
Oh, World War I? Holy mackerel. I'm not 100% sure.
Grandpa Smyth is World War II.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
His father...
I don't know. I really don't know for sure who in our ancestry fought in World War I,
Carrie
which is
did an
weird.
extensive ancestry.
Yeah, there's a couple of uncles on my mom's side that I know definitely fought in World. One of them even died in World War I think, because I saw their obituary. But direct ancestors on both of our side, not that I know of. I'm sure there's somebody. I just don't know about it, which is weird because I know of the Civil War ancestors, which goes back way further.
And one Revolutionary War veteran.
At least one, possibly more.
Which is exciting.
Yeah.
I really
One's
love that.
confirmed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's awesome.
So this day, if you're listening to the show and you want to check out this article is written in Breitbart News by Patrick O'Donnell about about a book that he has written. He retells this story in a harrowing night in his new best-selling book, The Unknowns, the untold story of America's unknown soldier and World War I's most decorated heroes who brought him home. Which was amazing because there were two heroes that were decorated that actually were pallbearers or casket pallbearers of the unknown soldier who fought side by side with him, and that's where the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier comes from. But this article written, just real quick, I just want to read this. This kind of gives you a heads up about World War I for those of you who don't remember or don't know or haven't heard stories about it, which is unfortunate because I don't think they talk much about it in school anymore.
Not much because, well, first of all, like when we were really little, there were handfuls, pockets of World War I veterans still alive.
Yeah.
And we were very young. We would see them in parades, the Memorial Day parade, the Labor Day parade. You would see them. They would have, some of them would be marching, but most of them were too old, and so they had them on a float. But also, World War II just totally eclipsed World War I as far as what you learn in school and pop culture and movies. I mean, think about it. Some great movies came out during that era, and then after World War II was over, there were a lot of World War II movies afterwards, and everything just totally eclipsed World War I.
You know, from a technological standpoint of view, World War II was on the cutting edge of all kinds of technology.
Yeah, it was just such a fascinating war. World War II was. One thing I would recommend, this is just kind of out of the blue now that I'm thinking about it, because now I'm thinking about movies and stuff like that. One of the most interesting movies I've ever seen in my life, All Quiet on the Western Front. That was a very, very good movie. Now, it had I don't know what... I don't want to call it liberal, but it was very, very, very anti-war. In fact, somebody really famous that I can't remember now, but I remember the quote, said that this is the greatest anti-war movie ever. And everybody should watch that movie because then everybody would be against war, because it does have that very, very strong anti-war message in it. But it's still just it's a must-see movie. You must see All Quiet on the Western Front before you die. It's as simple as that.
Okay, well, fair enough. So this article written in Breitbart News, again, like I said, by Patrick O'Donnell, he tells the story. It is a fascinating read. And here's how the article starts out. This is just the first handful of lines from the article. He starts out, many Americans have no idea why we celebrate Veterans Day on November 11th. Those who know that the holiday began as Armistice Day typically think of it as a day of victory and peace. However, for those on the ground in Europe, the last 24 hours before the cessation of hostilities on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, that day was nothing less than hell on earth. 100 years ago this weekend, Allied commanders ordered U.S. Marines and Army personnel to attempt a perilous night crossing of the Meuse River and assault the heavily defended German positions on the far side. President General Black Jack Pershing foresaw the possible rise of Germany and wanted to make it clear the Allies had won the war by seizing more German-controlled territory. Scores of men would die in the attack that ultimately proved a tragic loss of life. I read the whole article, and it was just riveting. and I'm on the edge of buying the guy's book. I'm just so fascinated by it. But he talks about how the Marines and the Army got together right there on the coast, on the river's edge, back behind some woods, and started to build these 12-foot long makeshift bridges that were about as wide as a ladder, and they would float. And as they made enough of them, they made enough to make 2 bridges across the river, icy cold water, frozen to the bone. Everybody was wet. Everybody was muddy. Everybody knew they were going to die. That's what it was. And this was, folks, this was the same night. This was the same night, the same morning. They were doing this at 5 a.m., first thing in the morning. They were doing this, and within 5 to 6 hours later, apparently the general knew that the armistice was to come, but he did this anyways, and it's just so tragic. But they had the 75 millimeter howitzers launching rockets for an hour straight, just pounding the Germans. And as soon as that stopped, then they went to their machine guns and started shooting across the river as 2 guys, one for each bridge, with a rope, swam across the river in the icy cold water to the other side to set the bridges up piece by piece by piece to get to the other side. And as they started to climb across the bridge to get to the other side, and they're being shot at and being killed, and most didn't make it. It's a brutal story. It's just incredible how, as a Marine, and we neither one of us served in combat. So it's, when we talk about being a veteran, at least I know we've talked about this before, folks, I got a different story. And we put those guys in combat, we put them above us.
I do that too, but I also point out that we were all ready to go if needed. Yeah. And I remember when 9/11 happened, I was actually I hadn't been discharged from active duty very long after 9/11 happened, and or before 9/11 happened, and I was actually still in the inactive reserves. A lot of people don't know this, but when you sign up for the military, no matter how many years of active duty you serve, you're signing up for 8 years of service, period. And so if you do 4 years, it's 4 years of active, 4 years of inactive. And then if you do 6 years, it's 6 years with 2 years of inactive. So anyway, I was still on inactive reserves. 9/11 happened, and I called my recruiter and said, make sure you have me down with the right phone number, the right location, because, I'm ready to go. And the whole time I was active duty, I was like, if something were ever happen, we're jumping up and going. So we were... That's really what it boils down to, is when you serve in your country, it's not just, hey, we were attacked by the Japanese in Pearl Harbor. We got to get revenge. Let's go. We got to win this war. That's one way of looking at it. But also you sign up and you're in peacetime and you're just like, I'm at the ready. Right. I'm at the ready to defend the country. So that's why I don't have, I do look at combat veterans differently. I do look up to them. And
being in the Air Force and working, I was trained in the machine shop world where mechanics would break something and they would call us and we'd come out and fix it, or tell them if it couldn't be fixed. We were the last line of resort. If we said it couldn't be fixed, it absolutely couldn't be fixed. Had to go find something else, replace it. We had 2 squadrons of F-16s on the base in Aviano, Italy, the 5 and dime and the triple nickel. And it was us. We were ground support. And those fighter pilots would fly Operation Deny Flight, Operation Decisive Edge. We were critical for those operations, but in Vietnam, most of the POWs were Air Force members because we're just on an air base and no weapons. We never had a weapon that we would carry. The only people who carried a weapon were SPs, security police, and the Marine Corps MPs.
MPs.
Army's MPs.
But
too.
We had an armory on base and everywhere. And if we were ever, let's say, attacked, we could go straight to the armory, and every single person on the entire base would be armed.
Yeah, that's not the Air Force, man. Wow. I'm so sorry. That's not the Air Force.
So sad.
It is, and like I said, most of the POWs, and most of after 1949, when the Air Force was created from the Army Air Corps. Sorry, Army. I know it's a very bitter.
Yeah,
bitter breakup.
It's almost like a
Divorce
or a Declaration of Independence. God. Wow.
And the Air Force kind of got the better of it because we get all the new money. Air Force gets all the new money, and then you can go from the Air Force into NASA if you wanted. So
Yeah. That just might be a coincidence, though.
No, man. No.
Oh, you're a test pilot in the Air Force? Okay, come on. You got to fly this rocket up to the moon.
Okay, I'll take
All
that
right.
thing to the moon somehow. No, but so anyways, yeah, that's why Air Force members are not armed. There was nowhere. I couldn't even tell you where the armory was. I had no idea. But we had Tent City where all the Marines stayed. So I'd probably head over to Tent City if I had to, if the base was being overrun. And seriously, folks, I know enough to know
How to survive.
There's things I don't know.
Okay.
And
but you knew how to survive. You got to go get help from the Marines. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not too stubborn and
that's so funny.
and moving right along. but so anyways, again, like I'm saying, folks, that 1918, the end of November 11th, the 11th hour, the 11th day of November in 1918, 100 years ago, Armistice agreement where World War I came to an end. And the war that was referred to by some as trench foot warfare, which just brutal, awful. The conditions of World War I were absolutely brutal. And I don't have the story. I don't know the stories well enough to do them any justice. I know if my brother called in, he studied to be a historian, and he's a military war battle aficionado.
Yeah, he knows the names and dates.
Oh, man, does he ever. But anyway, so that's for another story. But happy Veterans Day to all the veterans that are out there. Absolutely. Thank you so much for serving the country. And I appreciate it. I've been told by many of our Patreons, many of our folks that we're friends with. My wife said this morning, happy Veterans Day, and I thank you very much, wife.
Did you see what I got for my mom?
What? You got a present?
Oh, man. She got me a card and a present.
What?
A Veterans Day card. It looked like a birthday card, but it was like Happy Veterans Day. And she got me a box of pastries.
What?
But the name of them, the name of these desserts were called Devil Dogs.
Of course they were.
Devil Dogs. So for those of you that don't know, back in World War II, so it's World War I, I'm sorry, World War I, so it's very fitting since we're talking about Armistice Day and all that. One of the things that we were required to do, which is just, you got to see All Quiet on the Western Front or any other World War I movie for that matter to really get an understanding of this. But one of the things we had to do was during trench warfare is every once in a while it was decided that this would be a good time to go ahead and storm the trenches. And they would line up shoulder to shoulder all the way across the trenches for maybe a half mile or mile, thousands of troops. And somebody would blow a whistle. It was still maybe 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, really early. And we would jump out of the trenches and just start sprinting to overrun the other trenches. And the thing is nobody really cared that the Germans had invented the machine gun.
Yeah.
And so one person could just take the whole entire line out, or at least a big, wide portion of it. And so, but the thing is the Germans were getting overrun anyway because they couldn't kill enough of us with their bullets. We just kept coming and coming and coming. Right. And they called us in their German words. I used to know what the actual German words were, but in German, they called us devil dogs. And just like the deplorables, just like
such a beautiful thing.
Well, yeah, just like how the deplorables, when we were called deplorables, we were like, maybe we are deplorable. Let's run with that. And now we call each other deplorable as a badge of honor, I guess. We decided, well, we're going to take that devil dog. We like that. Yes, we are devil dogs. And so we've been called that ever since. And my mom, knowing that, found some pastries, some desserts. They look like little Debbie's or something like that. But they're a different brand. But they're called devil dogs. And I was just like, this is the funniest thing ever. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can actually go and see the picture of them.
So you didn't bring me any?
Well, you're not a devil dog. So,
but you could share with your fellow military person, a former veteran.
Well,
can enjoy each other's company.
Maybe if I found some cupcakes.
Yeah!
I could share them with my Air Force people.
Oh, that's so sad.
Or some ho-hos or something.
What? No, you're talking about your Navy buddies.
Oh, the Navies would get the ho-hos. The Army would get the ding-dongs.
Ding-dongs, yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, no. The Navy would get the Twinkies.
Oh, no. That's the Navy.
Yeah.
The Navy would get the Twinkies.
Yes.
Might be getting a little close to home here.
Come on, folks. We joke around. All the branches joke around about that stuff all the time.
It's nonstop.
It's all tongue in cheek, y'all. But so I don't know if you know this. Kind of wrapping this all up. Veterans Day, very very sacred day in America, and apparently very sacred day in Poland as well. And I apologize. My world history about other countries is very limited. And I find it fascinating when I find somebody from another country to tell me about their history and their heritage, and that we together are linked in arms somehow. And so for Poland to thank America for their 100th birthday of independence is just the forming of their country.
That was really cool.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Especially since now that we know some people that are either Polish or have Polish ties. We just think they're the greatest people ever. Maybe this is just a coincidence, but I have not met either a Polish or somebody with Polish ties that is a socialist, liberal, social justice warrior.
No, definitely have not.
So interesting.
They come from Cuba.
Polish people come from Cuba?
No, you're socialist justice warriors. They come from Cuba.
Yeah, maybe.
Or Venezuela.
Well, it depends. If they're fleeing socialism, they might come over and
or if they were instructed to spread socialism through the Americas.
Could be.
So everything is political, folks. Believe me, everything is absolutely political. And I don't want to let this day slip away, but I absolutely love what Donald Trump has done with the military. Do not believe for 1 second. I saw a couple articles out there about veterans not being taken care of and this and that. And no, folks. Veterans are being taken care of far better than you don't hear about any of the issues that were going down under Barack Hussein Obama and all the deaths of military members waiting in line, not making it. And so I don't know if y'all know, but Big Mike.
Big Mike?
You know, Mike Obama.
Oh. I thought we weren't supposed to call it that.
Oh, really?
Well, you got to be careful these days.
Okay, so Michelle Obama.
Oh, wow. It's the first time I heard you say that.
Well, I mean, Obama himself referred to her twice as Mike.
Well, I mean, maybe it's something between the two of them where Michelle, it has not only does it have 2 syllables instead of 1, which is why we shorten a lot of names.
Yeah, like William to Bill.
Right, or even Will, whatever it might be.
I don't get that one.
But Michelle would be easier said, Mike. I am really stretching here, folks. I am so stretching.
Why is Richard Dick? Well, how do you shorten the name Richard to shorten it to Dick?
Which is really strange because you could also shorten it to Rich, which is what I would assume people would prefer.
I would think.
Not sure.
Kind of interesting. So, Michelle Mabel has now come out with a new book. It's slated to be a #1 best-selling book worldwide, garnering them hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know, folks. I'm making that up. So, as she did that, President Donald Trump was asked about the negative comments that she made about Trump in her book. And this was Donald Trump's response.
Oh, Michelle Obama said that. I haven't seen it. I guess she wrote a book. She got paid a lot of money to write a book. And they always insist that you come up with controversial. Well, I'll give you a little controversy back. I'll never forgive him for what he did to our United States military. By not funding it properly, it was depleted. Everything was old and tired. And I came in and I had to fix it. And I'm in the process of spending tremendous amounts of money. So I'll never forgive him for what he did to our military. I'll never forgive him for what he did in many other ways, which I'll talk to you about in the future.
You know, he was...
But what he did, because she talked about safety, what he did to our military made this country very unsafe for you and you and you.
You could tell he took that personally, and I don't blame him for going on the offense there. And I thought it was very smart of him to not attack Michelle, but instead attack his predecessor, Barack. But here's the thing. I would have gotten more specific. He got real general and said what he did to the military, what he did to the military. I would have said, I will never forgive him for his role, whatever it may have been, no matter how little it was or how great it was, that resulted in those people dying in Benghazi.
Oh.
I would have gotten really specific. And that way it really, there would be everybody'd have to shut up. I mean, how do you come back from that? What
you don't.
And the thing is like a Hillary may have had more to do with Benghazi than Obama. However, the big thing about Benghazi was that the timing was bad for Obama's reelection. And so the cover-up, there was like this massive conspiracy to either cover it up or go into some sort of a cover-up mode or
damage control.
It was like all kinds of damage control that was going to somehow make it so that it isn't a bad mark on Obama. But everybody seems to forget that Obama was, in fact, the president at the time that it happened, and the buck is supposed to stop with the president. He is the commander-in-chief. And that's what happened, and it's just unforgivable, totally unforgivable.
So as Donald Trump is at the G20 summit in Europe this weekend, he got back at a soy boy Trudeau. So we're going from one soy boy to another.
Okay.
So soy boy Trudeau, there's three of them. Macron.
Yeah, Trudeau.
Obama, and Trudeau. The offspring and love child of Castro.
For any liberals out there that are thinking that Obama is a strong man and he's not a soy boy.
You didn't see him with his motorcycle helmet on?
Motorcycle?
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean a bicycle.
I think it was purple too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had soy dripping off of him. Yeah. He's just leaking soy.
Soy, you could just feel it.
Anyway.
So Donald Trump, for those of you audio only, I'll describe it. For those of you video, you can watch it. But Donald Trump is now walking in front of all the world leaders that are standing on the second step up of a concrete step. So as Donald Trump approaches them with First Lady Melania, he shakes the hand of soy boy number one. That would be Macron. Shakes the hand of Merkel and a couple other world leaders. Oh, Macron bowed down to Trump from the second step up. Grabbed Trump's hand and showed his hand knuckles up. Trudeau's knuckles up, and he bowed down to Donald Trump.
Okay.
That's pretty interesting. So then he shakes some other hands, left and right, shakes, I don't know who those folks are, some other world leaders, shakes their hand, and then shakes the hand right next to Trudeau, of the son of the world leader, and doesn't extend a palm to Trudeau.
Oh, that's funny. Like he walked all around him, intentionally avoiding shaking his hand.
Yes.
How awkward is that for Justin Boy? Oh, awkward.
Very awkward, Trudeau. Sorry about that, soy boy. I mean, come on, man.
So sad.
You guys deserve that kind of stuff. For the way you treat us, is just it's unconscionable, folks. The way that they treat America. I don't have any words for it. It's so frustrating at times. But
did you hear about the trip to the World War I cemetery in France that Trump had to cancel, and the liberals went crazy over the reason?
I heard about it, but I didn't understand what was going on with that.
Well, that's why it's important that I'm bringing this up, because a bunch of my friends were like, what is this? And I read headlines. And my first reaction was, ooh, this seems like an unforced error on the part of the administration. So it actually came upon me as a moment on Twitter, and the moment was called "Trump cancels planned visit to World War I cemetery in France due to the weather." The weather. So the weather was bad, and so Trump canceled his visit to cemetery. That was the headline. And and due to rain. So CBS News Alert says Trump cancels planned visit to World War I cemetery in France due to poor weather. And they added more than 1,800 Americans died at the 1918 battleground where the U.S. and the French fought back German forces. So they're trying to add to the contrast between the hell that the soldiers went through and the fact that Trump apparently is avoiding having to stand out in some poor weather. That's what the news
that
is trying.
tweet right there, Sung Ming Kim. Is that the one from the New York Times that had racist rants on Twitter?
That name does sound familiar.
Go over her face with your mouse.
Oh, let's see. She's a White House reporter for the Washington Post, so I can guarantee you that she's fake news. In fact, let's see what she wrote via Pooler, somebody, a Twitter user, on the cancellation of Trump's visit to the American cemetery here in France due to bad weather, and in parentheses she put, "It's raining here." So let's see if we can find out what this is all about and what is it true? Is it not true? Turns out that if you read into the real reason why, I'll just read you right. So the real reason, this is fake news, people. It is fake news. He did not say, "Oh gosh, guys, is it really raining there? Really?"
I'm kind of delicate. I'm getting older in age.
Look at my hair. My hair. I can't be messing with my hair.
Come on, man. Bones are aching. I ain't got time for this.
This was all hell broke loose with liberals. There were people posting pictures of Obama talking in the rain with an umbrella, and he's holding it. No.
You're not the one with the Marine holding the umbrella.
They did not post the one where he forced a Marine to hold an umbrella over Obama while the Marine was getting wet. He didn't show that one.
There's illegalities about that.
That actually broke protocol.
Yeah.
That was actually against protocol. They showed either Justin or Macron, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, they're the same person, speaking at some engagement, and there was rain on him or whatever. And everybody's like, this is what real leaders do.
So they took advantage of the situation to show soy boys being tougher than real men.
Oh, they went nuts. There were hundreds and maybe thousands and thousands and thousands of attack tweets over this fake news. Now, why is it fake? Carrie wants to tell me it's fake news, but nobody's telling me it's fake news. Carrie, why is this fake news? Turns out they want you to believe that it's due to a soft-pampered billionaire avoiding getting wet. The reality, it was a logistical problem. The Secret Service and all the giant number of people who are in charge of protecting the president, doing all this background on the area, screening the area.
Yeah, we've talked to you about the rallies. You guys know everybody's got to get out.
There's that, and then there's also, I found this out in Lebanon. I don't even know if I'm allowed to tell you guys this. This might be classified information, but somebody told me, and I'm not going to tell who it was, but Marine One was there. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me get this straight. So Donald Trump flew into Lunken Airport.
Yep.
Once he was there, he got in a motorcade that drove to Lebanon, and he spoke.
Yeah.
When he's done there, where's he going? Well, he's coming back here to Air Force One. In what? Well, in the motorcade. The motorcade's going to bring him back. Wait. So Trump's going to drive back, and when he gets here, he's going to do what? He's going to get in Air Force One and leave. Why is Marine One here?
That's a good question.
So here's why Marine One showed up.
I have a guess about why, but go ahead.
Turns out Lebanon is a little bit isolated.
It is very, to me, I kept joking with people in line saying, I don't know if I'm allowed to come back here. I'm from the west side of Cincinnati. This is too far.
Lebanon's like halfway between Cincinnati and Columbus. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's some little podunk town. And sorry if you're from Lebanon, but that's the way we look at you.
I mean,
So, and by the way, it's not Lebanon in the Middle East. This is Middle Lebanon, Ohio.
Right. You're much, much smaller than Dayton.
It's a tiny little rural
Which
town.
blows my mind that Trump went there.
Well, they all do.
You're saying they all do.
All the presidents go there. So anyway, so it turns out that whenever a motorcade has to drive more than X amount of minutes, in this case, the motorcade took 40 minutes to get from the airport to Lebanon.
That's a long drive.
40 minutes back.
That's a long drive.
Due to the need for the president of the United States to be able to bug out in any kind of crazy situation, whether it be terrorist attack, whether it be, sir, we have incoming nuclear ballistic missiles coming from. You need to bug out quick. What they do is they bring in a C-17 with Marine One on it.
Nice.
So there was actually a C-17 parked there.
Oh, I would have loved to see that thing. You would talk about something big.
They pull that helicopter out like the C-17's giving birth. Yeah. Pull that thing out of there. And then they get it all ready to fly. And then while we were waiting for Air Force One to come, Marine One took off. And we were like, where's it going? Oh, you're not supposed to know this. Smyth Radio exclusive. Hopefully we don't get in trouble for this.
We haven't signed any documents. We don't know nothing.
Yeah, we don't know none.
No.
We're allowed to say it because as journalists, if we know something, we're allowed
as journalists,
to say it.
we're allowed to read the documents to give you the information.
Not you guys, though. Not you.
You're not allowed.
That's fake. If you have the information, you're allowed to say it's called First Amendment. But anyway, so that Marine One was flying to a secret location. I later found out it was the field of a private residence. They basically knocked on his door and said, you have a nice big field here. Do you mind if we, use it? We can't tell you what we're going to use it for, but we're with the Secret Service. So they had Marine One. I'm not kidding. Marine One landed in a undisclosed location, and it was secret, by the way. Totally secret. I found out later about the guy who was like, dude, bro, the Marine One came in here.
You met the guy?
No, I didn't meet the guy. I saw video or something somewhere. Yeah. So it landed and waited there because in case Donald Trump needed to bug out, he could go like a 5-minute drive to Marine One, jump in the helicopter. The helicopter would bring him back to Air Force One or maybe even a safer location in case it was a really serious attack. It could take him to a safe location.
Or it could fly to the field where Trump is giving the speech and extricate him or something.
Yeah,
get him out.
Depending on the threat, that might not be the best idea. But yeah, I mean anything. I mean they have a helicopter; they can do whatever. So that's the reason why. Now this is all a part of the logistics of the president of the United States. These are all considerations that they have to have at all times. I don't know where the cemetery is, but if it's a decent motorcade drive from a nearest airport where Air Force One is capable of landing, they would need to also bring a C-17 with Marine One on it, and it would have to go and fly and land in a secret location. And this may not, people are like, yeah, well, helicopters can fly in rain. That's just one consideration. There could be many, many other factors that led the powers that be, not Trump himself. It's not like Trump was like, you know what? I don't feel safe here. Let's not go and honor 1,800 fallen Americans from World War I.
Yes. That's funny they bring that up. We talked today in church. Our service was led by hubris, which would be Obama, the arrogance, or led by self-awareness.
Interesting.
Donald Trump. And talking about Moses.
Going to your masses. That sounds interesting.
Oh, no, it's a fascinating history story about Moses and freeing the Israelites and, let my people go. The Pharaoh was led by hubris. God gave him all these different plagues and gave him an opportunity to change his ways. And at the very end, he let him free, let him teach. And then he came to a moment of hubris again. He said, What? We just let these people go? Hell no. Everybody, let's go get them back. And so that's where you see the Pharaoh and his chariots and the military chasing. When I say you see, if you're watching Charlton Heston's movie, as he plays Moses, you see him running after the Jews through the parted waters. And as they're in the middle, flat-footed in the parted waters, the waters come back, and he dies because of his hubris, his arrogance. However, Moses, led by self-awareness, after that happens, he tries to put all this together, and he doesn't have that ability. His father-in-law comes in, gives him advice, and led by self-awareness, Moses realized that his father-in-law had the ability to organize and set this new country up and put things together. And then at that given time, God sent Moses someone to be his speaking voice, because Moses wasn't that great of a speaker. Anyways, two different sets of people, one led by hubris, one led by self-awareness. Donald Trump led by self-awareness, knowing, I promise you folks, Donald Trump knowing the Secret Service and respecting the military as much as he does, and respecting the Secret Service as much as he does, if they said to Trump, sir, flat out, here's the honest deal. We could get you there. Here's what it's going to take. You're going to have to wait here for X amount of hours for us to fly C-17 with Marine One or a version of it, and this and this and this. And Trump probably said, well, how much is that going to add? How much time is that? Weigh the two.
It could be time. It could be money. And
it could be millions of dollars.
Also, it may have been told to him, and he might not have been a part of this decision-making process. In fact, I can almost guarantee he wasn't. There may have been a meeting where somebody says, this is the maximum level of security we can provide given all the facts on the ground. And it's not enough.
It doesn't meet the threshold.
Yes, if it doesn't meet the threshold, without Trump could not even be in this meeting at all. If it does not meet this threshold, we are not permitted to allow Trump to go there. And the reason why a lot of people forget this, that as much as we like to think as Trump as just his own person, he's just a human being, and he's not allowed to put himself at risk because of the amount of millions of people that are counting on him as president of the United States. He's not allowed to put himself at a certain amount of risk. I mean, when he got out of his motorcade on Inauguration Day, I promise you that was allowed by Secret Service, because even though it seemed scary, we were also told.
But Gary Byrne told us, because I brought it up when we interviewed him. I'm like, how did you guys let him walk the streets?
Right. And they said, well, it may look a little crazy.
He said that's home turf.
Because, when we're there.
He said that's home turf. That's D.C., man. We got
the
this.
Home field.
We got this.
That was exactly what he said. He's like, it's their home field advantage. They know every nook and cranny. Because when outsiders like Brian and I show up to D.C., and we start looking around like this, every single building looks like the book depository building. Every or every building. We're like, there's a perch. Oh my gosh.
You could pick anybody off anywhere.
Well, guess what? They got that place totally. Not only is it on lockdown, I venture to guess, based on looking at the way the buildings are set up, they may have actually constructed buildings in order to provide security.
Wow.
Because there's no opening that would allow a sniper from, let's say, a mile away to say, nobody knows I'm here. I'm going to wait till I my high-powered scope, I see the president in the crosshairs and I can fire a shot off from a mile away. But if you're in D.C., you notice that, like, the buildings, you can never see very far.
No.
Because the buildings are constructed and laid out in such a way that in any given direction, there's a building in the way. And if they know exactly who's in every single one of those buildings at any given time, particularly during the inauguration, totally safe. So that being said, the whole thing, and Brian's right, the idea that they can suddenly see a story like this and say, I knew it! All this time, Trump has been talking about how pro-military he is and how much the military loves him. And maybe the military thinks that they love him. And maybe the military thinks that Donald Trump loves him. But after 3 solid years, we finally got the truth. That he really doesn't give a crap about the military.
Not only does he give a crap about it, but he's weak. He's scared of the water.
He's scared of water, and he cares so little about the military that just a little bit of rain on that toupee, and he's out of there. He doesn't care about the. Nobody's believing you. Nobody believes you. And for them to think that they suddenly have found the breaking news, the Rosetta Stone, that shows that all this time their hope and belief that he really truly doesn't care about the military. And they were tweeting as if they were making headway on this, like, oh man, we got him now. Now the military's gonna really hate him.
Oh,
no, you're not making headway.
That's like Michael Moore posted up a tweet and said that that the only way that Republicans and Trump can win is if they suppress the black vote. And I replied back to him. I said, I don't know if you realize this, but some of the lowest numbers from the NAACP say that the black vote is up to 27% for Trump. Some other poll numbers are saying that it's up to 39% for Trump. And why wouldn't we want more votes?
I can't wait to see what happens.
Dumb.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up. I hope we're not getting too far off on a tangent when I bring this up. But
bring us back.
There's a woman who, and I hate the drama. I wish the drama would just go away. But she's a black woman. She goes by, I think, Tree of Logic. It's either Tree of Logic or Tree of Knowledge, something like that. Tree of Logic, I think, on YouTube. And apparently she had a very nasty drama mix-up between her and Candace Owens.
Oh, man.
And I don't really know. This was a while ago. This was like months and months and months ago. And ever since then, she tends to want to kind of stick it to her. Well, she had a video that came out a couple of days ago because we just had the election on Tuesday. And she basically was using this video to bash all over Candace Owens because her whole thing is to try to get the black vote over to the conservative side, over to the Republican side. And Tree of Logic pointed out in her video and showed with this nice little graphic that the percentage of votes from black voters who went to Democrats versus Republicans was identical to 2016.
Okay, that's fine, but
that sounds bad. But,
Trump wasn't on the ballot.
Okay, so Brian is thinking the exact same thing that I thought, which is Trump's not on the ballot. They're not voting for Trump. They're voting for some Republican that could be establishment or could have all kinds of baggage or issues that we don't know about. We're talking about local people here, and I will tell you right now that Trump is the first person to run as a Republican. I don't even want to call him a Republican, but he ran as a Republican.
No, he hijacked the party, Kerry.
He did.
Yeah,
he did, and that's actually something we're
CNN was upset about that.
I know. We're like, yeah, he hijacked the party. That's right, and we like that. But you notice he's able to walk into a giant church where he's the only white guy. He's totally relaxed, totally comfortable. By the way, he invited a couple hundred people to the White House where he was the only white guy as far as I could tell. He invited all black guests. All black guests to White House. There were hundreds of black guests, and he was the only white guest or the white person there. And he's totally comfortable with all that. And the reason I say that, it sounds kind of awkward, but I'm telling you right now, I see either they avoid going into these situations or when they do show up at these situations, they'll go in front of the mic and say, you people. And it's like, whoa, come on. What's going on here? They just.
I ain't no ways tar.
Yeah, even Democrats are bad like that.
Yeah, I got a bottle of hot sauce in my purse.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I'm pandering to you. Is it working?
She's a full-blown racist.
Is it working?
But like other Democrats, maybe not Hillary Clinton because she's a full-blown racist, but other Democrats somehow find it comfortable to go into, like an all-black church or something like that. Right. Trump's able to do that, so it makes sense that he would have the numbers, and yet in the midterms, all the efforts to get black conservatives or Republicans or whatever, or even Democrats, to walk away, to do a Blexit, if you will, and vote Republican, as of right now, is not showing fruit, as long as we know that graphic that Tree of Logic showed was correct. But we'll see where that goes. I'm a little worried because let's say it is about Trump. Let's say that Trump does get 40% of the black vote in 2020. First of all, it'll be a massive landslide for him, and that will be awesome. But second of all, it worries me that when he's gone after 8 years, that we're back to the way it always used to be. And that's what I want to avoid. I want Trump to have the kind of legacy where at least 50% of all black voters are Republican, are voting Republican regardless. Not because, hey, Trump's cool, his name is in a lot of rap songs, or he relates to me, or hey, look, he came into a black church, or oh, did you see the black woman at that rally? He hugged her. And so they like Trump for that. I want black voters to vote Republican because this ideology is better than socialism, better than communism, better than whatever the hell the Democrats are offering. And it's less racist. Well, which, by the way, you shouldn't be against racism because you're black. We're all against racism because racism sucks.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
So we're all against that. And I hope that it's not just a Trump thing. I want it to be an ideology thing. And Tree of Logic actually brings up a good point. She said you need to be colorblind. She didn't say this. I'm paraphrasing her message here. She's more of a, hey, we need to be more colorblind. Don't go Blexit.
Don't go Blexit.
Well, don't make it about the races.
Right.
Identity politics. Her argument is that Blexit and walk away with regards to people of color, not so much because walk away is colorless, but there's they're pretty much doing the same thing. But Blexit is in particular the black vote. Tree of Logic is saying, hey, we need to this identity politics is hypocritical because our problem with Democrats is that they use identity politics, which is a bad thing, and it's just divisive. It divides the country up. It kind of sows racism that may not be so overt, but it's kind of implied.
Not only that, but you're playing the same politics that media and news do. Pew Research here giving the Democrats a heads up that the they're winning the Latino vote based on 2018 congressional races.
Okay.
They're winning the Latino vote 69 to Republican 29, which is pretty huge. Mm-hmm. And also Hispanic women. More often, 73% of Hispanic women are more often to vote Democrat than Hispanic men, letting Democrats know to keep pandering to Hispanic women, tell them what they want to hear, and pander to Hispanics in general, tell them what they want to hear.
Here's where it gets evil, Brian. This is where it gets evil. Well, if majority of Hispanics are going to vote for us, say I'm a Democrat, then we need to just bring more Hispanics into America.
Yeah.
That's where it gets really bad. Because now you don't even care about America and Americans anymore when you're bringing in foreigners just because they happen to be Hispanic. And with this idea that being Hispanic inherently makes you Democrat. It's an ideological thing, and it really is a little bit troubling, and it's a learning moment. It's a learning opportunity when you see that, 9% of black voters in 2018 voted for a Republican?
Yeah,
9%?
11% voted for Mitt Romney.
It's like we're going backwards here.
Going the wrong way.
So the belief is right now that I could tell from your average black voter is that 90% of them voted for a Democrat and 9% voted for a Republican. it's not about the ideology yet. It's about Trump. They like Trump, and and by they, I mean the 30% that they're saying are now supporting Trump. They like Trump, but where were they? Where was let's say out of the 30% of them, it would be 1/3, which would be 9%, voted for the local Republican. So it's not about the party, and that's a problem because the parties are basically the tangible thing.
Right, and there's a lot of people I talk to
supports the ideology.
Yeah, a lot of people I talk to said, I am not a Republican, but I vote Trump. And see, that's something that Trump's got to straighten out real quick.
We may even say that. So maybe the Republican Party is at fault.
It very well could be.
Yeah.
I will say this, at the polling station I was at for 7.5 hours, well over 90% of the black people that came to the polls that I attempted to hand a Republican ticket to let them know here are all the Republicans. About 90% of them pretty much told me to go to hell. Young.
Did you say 90%?
At least.
Wow.
Young black women. Every single young black woman, literally, if she could shoot me, she would have. Older. I saw the old dog Democrat, older 60, 70-year-old black folks that didn't even give me a look. They couldn't even see me. My neighbor, who's black.
Well, you were wearing a red MAGA hat.
I was dressed in all the gear. I was dressed.
So I was doing the same exact thing Brian was doing, but there's two big differences. Number one, I was dressed in my green Pepe sweater. So it wasn't blue or red, so it was kind of ambiguous. Even though I had the pink slip, which the other one's blue, and pink is kind of reddish, I guess. But anyway.
Red is hard to see. If you got a red piece of paper with black ink, very difficult to see.
Yes, that's 100% true.
I know. They do it at my job.
It's bad. Bad stuff. So they do go with the pink, which is smart. And I was not wearing a MAGA hat. And whenever a black voter was coming up to the polls, I would say, would you like a voter guide? And I wouldn't say Republican voter guide.
Oh, man, see, I was going full-fledged Trump guide.
Which is fine. You know what? You got a method act. You got to go all the way. You got the hat on. I mean,
I had the T-shirt. I had the Trump shirt on. Everything.
Okay, that's cool. But you could see the difference. Every black voter that I approached with it took it and had a smile on their face. And when they came out, they didn't really say anything to me, but most didn't. Most didn't say. I would say, "Oh, have a good day." Actually. They would always say, have a good day back. So I don't know if they went in and voted Republican or not.
I got a lot of compliments on the hat. I will say this. Most of the anger, almost all the anger came from the Democrats. A lot of snide comments, remarks. One crazy bat SH woman, crazy to the gills. She came in and I'm voting Trump. Ow! That's why I'm here.
Is that why you're here to vote Trump out in 2018?
And she ran in there. Somebody else. There was all kinds of things. The Democrat that was standing next to me wanted to.
The young guy or the older guy?
The young guy was his son.
Right. He was scared to death.
He kept trying.
He was like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta stand next."
He kept trying to talk to me. He kept trying.
Oh, did he?
Small talk.
Because when I was there, he was scared to death.
Yeah, he was making chit chat, small talk. But anyway, so. He told me somebody called him a Nazi.
Called him a Nazi?
Called him a communist. You're a communist.
Oh, right. Oh, did you ask him to prove that he wasn't? Because
he couldn't.
Okay. So the thing, this is what you have to do. Sir, to prove libel, you have to prove that they lied.
You're right.
Did he lie?
Show me you're not a Nazi. Prove to me.
Or communist.
Well, same thing.
Oh, geez.
No, they actually technically are not the same thing. They actually hate each other.
Well, one's a national socialist and the other's a international socialist.
Globalist socialist.
Yeah, international socialist.
Right. So the elections. Here's my take on it real quick. No big deal. You guys have seen the scopes. I've scoped about this all week long.
I cried about it in the corner of the bath, the shower.
We lost the House. They only had to have 23 seats, and they took 30. Trying to take more. We're going to get into that in a second. We gained in the Senate, and here's the good thing about that, folks. The good thing about gaining in the Senate is Donald Trump has been placing over 120 judges nationwide, the fastest that any president has ever had judges confirmed along with the Senate, because Trump and the Senate confirm all these judges nationwide, and it's been going like gangbusters. Well, they're going to continue to do that. They're going to continue constitutional judges nationwide. They're going to continue to do that, and that's the ground level to make America great again. Also, I wish RBG no ill health, and I hope RBG gets better.
From her broken ribs. Breaking news. If you didn't know,
Ruth Bader Ginsburg
broke 3 ribs falling down.
And all the conspiracies around that, I could buy into some of them, whatever, that's cool. The point is that what happened, she fell, ribs broke, she went to the hospital. Okay. Other than that, and don't tell me you can't fall down. My mom, much younger.
That's what they do. No, seriously, when you're that age, you fall down.
Yeah, my mom, and I asked the guys on the scope, I said, why do you baby boomers put carpets on carpeting?
What?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
Where?
Everywhere.
They don't remove the old carpet?
No, it
sounds disgusting.
You put like an area rug or a rug on top of carpet.
A rug on top of carpet. Sorry. I was like, a carpet on carpet? That sounds so unsanitary.
Well, it's unsanitary to put a area rug over a rug. Either the same thing. You're trapping more stuff. Anyway, I don't know why you baby boomers do it, but it ain't right. And take the plastic off the couch because I want to enjoy it.
That's Greatest Generation.
Oh, that was Grandpa and Grandma?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. All right. I don't think baby boomers are leaving the plastic on.
The plastic runner down the hallway. Get rid of those too.
Oh, that's a trip hazard.
It certainly is. So anyway, my mom tripped on a carpet that was on top of a carpet. And she went to brace herself on the high bar table. I guess missed it and hit her arm on it, on the edge. Shear fractured her arm. Twist. They said it was a twist fracture.
Oh, like my axle.
Yeah, it's exactly like your axle.
Oh, those are the worst. If you've ever tried to twist a piece of chalk, the way it breaks when you do that.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's a bad break.
So she did it, and she's much RBG is 85. My mom is way younger than that. Well, it looks so nice. I'm just beautiful. She's got these young men.
I ran into her at Ollie's the other day.
Hitting on her. Oh, she told me that. She said, so did you get her number? Apparently, if you know somebody at Ollie's, you can get their employee number. Pretty much get discounts. How do you get it cheaper than dirt cheap? Go to Ollie's and find out.
And have somebody that works there give you the employee discount.
Anyways, so so that's the thing. We lost the House. We gained the Senate, so the Senate's good to go. So Brian, what is your take on the House, losing the House? I'm beside myself. I was kind of shocked that we lost the House. I really was. But governorship, we did really good there. The Democrats.
We lost governors overall. We lost. They get more gains in governors on the Democrats than the Republicans.
Okay. But I'm telling you right now, you wait. It's been over 700 days since the Democrats have won anything, and Roy Moore doesn't count. I just say it. Roy Moore doesn't count. And they also lost the Sloppy Daniels argument because now her and Avenatti now have to give Donald Trump a refund.
Big refund.
For services not rendered.
Oh, wow. And that's the thing, right? Yes. Services were not rendered.
I think it was like $300,000 they have to pay Donald Trump back for libel.
Wow. And that doesn't even include if Trump were to decide to go after her for the NDA. Because the whole point of an NDA is that if you don't comply with it, then whatever money we gave you for the NDA, you have to give back. Right. So, yeah, there's that.
So Democrats are definitely on a losing streak. They win this one, and they go bonkers to the point to where they're like, can we flip Can we flip some votes in some other states? And can we keep this going? And we'll make it because the media had the blue wave, so we can physically make the blue wave, and it won't look like we're cheating. A little bit, look like a real. And they're gonna overplay it. And I'll tell you, it started election night with the crazy Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, she's so excited because it's like achieving something in life and then losing it and then giving it that one more chance of being speaker.
Right. So Nancy, we'll start this out. Unless you want to give your take, we can start this whole segment out with Nancy Pelosi.
I could start saying something, but I don't want to walk over the top of what we might get from this.
Oh boy. Okay. So now this is Nancy Pelosi speaking, and I did clip in Hillary making a comment from the campaign trail, but it's all relevant.
Okay.
Democrats and Republicans. It's about restoring the Constitution's checks and balances to the Trump administration.
Don't lose your dentures.
It's about stopping the GOP and Mitch McConnell's assaults on Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, and the health care of 130 million Americans living with pre-existing medical conditions. Let's hear it more for pre-existing medical conditions.
She's such an idiot. How would you cheer for that?
It's about ending wealthy special interest free reign over Washington. But more than anything, it's about what a new Democratic will mean in the lives of hardworking Americans. That's what it's about.
Well, we're not going there, my friends. I'm telling you right now. We're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
Wow, that is relevant, isn't it?
I cut that out.
Democrats pledge a Congress that works for the people. For the people. Lower the cost of health care by lowering the cost of prescription drugs. Raise workers' wages with strong economic growth by rebuilding the infrastructure of America. Clean up corruption to make Washington work for all Americans. We will take real, very, very strong legislative action to negotiate down the price control of prescription drugs that is burdening seniors and families across America. We will deliver a transformational investment in America's infrastructure to create more good-paying jobs, rebuilding our roads, bridges, schools, water systems, broadband networks, and schools and housing and beyond. We will drain the swamp of dark interest money.
Well, we're not going there, my friends. And we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
In our elections. Because when we do, Americans have greater confidence in everything their Congress works on, from health care to taxes to guns to clean air and clean water for our children, when they know that the people's interest will prevail, not the dark special interest.
What special interest is she talking about?
In stark contrast to the GOP Congress, a Democratic Congress will be led with transparency and openness.
No, it won't.
Well, we're not going there, my friends. And we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, Nancy crazy Pelosi.
She was having trouble getting those words out.
She was drunk. She was drunk.
Something.
She was drunk.
Slurring a little bit and all that. So she's drunk on power is what she is. There was a portion there, and you heard me say it right when she was saying it, that sounded like she was delivering a Donald Trump stump speech.
Well, they're clearly upset that Trump has done so much greatness for America.
She was talking about hard work. We're going to do what we need to do to help hard-working Americans. Hard-working Americans need the conditions that are going to have companies raising wages because they can't find anybody, and that gives people who are hard workers the opportunity to get paid more, ask for more money if they're going to stay with their current job, and do like Driving Miss Daisy, where he goes up to his boss and says, "Hey, I just want to make mention, your buddy down the street, He wants me to do for him what you have me doing for you. But he offered me like twice as much money. But I'm not going to take it because I love you guys. I'm loyal. I'm not leaving. And Dan Aykroyd,
the young,
he was playing the son.
He hadn't gone crazy yet. He's crazy now.
Is he?
See some of those commercials he does.
Dan Aykroyd?
Yeah,
I've not seen that.
The dish is a disease.
I did not see any of that. So anyway, he tells Morgan Freeman, how would you like a raise? And so that's how it works. Or he could have just left and said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and leave you because this guy over here is offering me twice as much, way more money, whatever. So that's how it works. That's how the free market works. If you don't believe me, go watch Driving Miss Daisy. No, but seriously, I was at a campaign event for Mary Taylor, and she gets done speaking, and there was a guy in the crowd that was just like, I have a small business right here in town. It was in Harrison, so little town, Harrison, out in the outskirts of Cincinnati. I have a little small business here. I can't find anybody to hire to work for me. I'm offering $20 an hour, no experience, no prior experience.
It's amazing.
I'll train them. Can you find somebody? I'm sitting here like, maybe I should come out to Harrison and work for $20 an hour. So that's the kind of environment that Trump created. It sounded like she was trying to steal Trump's thunder by saying that she's going to do what Trump has already done.
It's funny that she's going to start parroting Trump.
Yeah.
Hoping that people will believe, because they believe Trump because he's already done it.
Yeah.
So they're going to believe her because she's going to do what he's done.
So I don't expect many people at home listening to this to have been able to pick up on the nuance there. And if you did, great. You're right up there with some of the smartest political voters, citizens in America, which I think everybody should be up to that speed. But one thing I noticed by listening to her, and I'll go out and point out in case you didn't pick up on it, is the difference between her Trump platform and Trump's Trump platform. And that is that Trump will tell you that I'm going to do the kind of deals and the working with Congress to create the environment for the private sector that would give hardworking middle-class Americans the kind of conditions that would present all kinds of opportunities for higher pay or even getting a job to begin with. Now, Nancy Pelosi, the difference there is we are in government, in power, we are going to make these companies raise their wages. We are going to make these pharmacies lower their prices. We're going to make all these people do all this stuff. This is what socialists do. It's all about engineering everything. When I was in 12th, I was 12. I was in 6th grade. We had an old school teacher. Old school.
Miss
Kennedy.
Kennedy, yes.
God rest her soul.
She's the first one to give me an F.
And you know
first
what?
F I ever got.
Made you a better person.
It did. You know, I saw my mom's high school report card.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, what in the heck? She's like, well, they just wanted to get me out of there.
She went to WIFRO, didn't she?
WIFRO.
Oh, my goodness. So anyway, so Miss Kennedy said, you guys know what communism is? And we're like, oh, we're 12.
Yeah. Is it that red flag with the yellows?
It's those damn Ruskies.
Yeah, the communists, the Ruskies.
Soviet. Yeah. So she would tell us that the and now looking back, it's pretty accurate. She would tell us that in communist Russia, that the government owns all the means of production, which means all the factories are run by the government and all that. And she would say stuff that they would say what the price is supposed to be on every single product. There was never any competition. So she would say, for example, when you would go to the grocery store, instead of having Colgate and Crest toothpaste, two different toothpastes, the Soviets would look at that and say, what a waste. Why would you have two different toothpaste? That's so wasteful.
We'll just have one called crap.
That's exactly what happens in communism. So this is what we're talking about when we listen to Nancy Pelosi give this speech, this victory speech, where she's telling you we're going to take away the free market capitalist conditions that Trump has not only allowed to happen, but also encourages fairness in the free market capitalism by going to these different countries and saying, no, we're not going to have this crap where you're stealing from Americans anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to have better international deals, treaties, whatever, in order to benefit everybody, including America. And this is one of the things, besides the dropping of taxes, but also the renegotiating of all the trade deals, that has created the kind of environment for our private free market to do so well. And she's coming in here saying, we're going to do all the stuff that you've seen, and we're going to take credit for it because we are going to use the power of government to make these companies do all this stuff. That's not what Trump did.
Infrastructure, clean water, clean air.
Oh, by the way, infrastructure.
Wi-Fi for all.
Infrastructure is what Trump ran on. He said, look at this. It's all crumbling. And so
we're going to now she needs to say, we're going to rebuild the military.
Might as well steal it all. Steal it all from Trump. America was made great again by Donald Trump. And, the people that voted for Democrats are going to find out the hard way. You people in Montana, for example, there's hundreds of examples across the entire United States of local races where they voted for a Democrat, even though they're totally conservative. Perfect example, Ohio. This is the craziest thing. Brian, did you ever stop and think about this? We elected a Republican governor.
Right.
That is, every single Ohio voter got a chance to either vote for the Republican for governor or the Democrat for governor. Everybody in Ohio.
And we got a Republican governor. Yet we couldn't get...
Every single one of those same voters also voted. Everyone. It's not like somebody came in and said, hey, I'm just voting for governor, or hey, I'm just voting for senator. They all got the exact same 2 votes. One for governor and one for senator. And the governor on the Republican side won, but the Democrat senator won. Brown.
S. Brown.
Doo-doo Brown.
Doo-doo Brown.
Doo-doo Brown.
How do you vote Sherrod? So I was talking about with my millennial, and he said, yeah, my wife voted for Sherrod Brown. I said, she did what?
Who votes for DeWine and Sherrod?
And I said,
it's ridiculous.
I said, did you ask her why? She said, he said, yeah, I asked her why. She said, well, I looked into it and it seemed like he was the better.
Why?
That's all she could give. She couldn't give any more.
This is the sad truth. This is the opposite of what you're going to hear from so many people. So many people are like, oh, it's all about local politics.
Well, she wanted to be, I think she wanted to be right better than... not right. She wanted to be on the winning team more than she wanted to be right.
Oh, I hate that. The old horse race analogy.
Right.
People, voting is not horse racing.
No.
You don't win money when you pick the winner. That's not how it works.
No, it's in the casino.
Right. So the horse racing voters are horrible. They need to go home, which is why we have yard signs and all that, because they want you to think, hey,
my team's winning.
My team, F-Tab, clearly is going to win this. He has all the horses. He has all the people voting for him.
And
he's the favorite. And it didn't work out for him. So yard signs. But anyway, so my point is that I don't like there's a lot of people out there who think, well, it's about the person that you're voting for. This guy, he's a Democrat, but come on, Carrie, he wears a blue shirt. He's literally blue collar. By the way, Sherrod Brown, you will never see him in anything but a blue. It's not denim, but it's kind of that denim color, like it's dyed. It's like a lighter blue, but it's like, it looks like denim. It looks like faded denim, but it's a button-up collared shirt. And it's always blue because I want everybody to know
I'm blue-collar worker.
And I'm for the worker. And you never see me in a white collar. Those evil rich people. So anyway, so that's Sherrod Brown. He won. But what people don't realize is Sherrod, and all Democrats, by the way, are huge liars. That's their MO. That is their defining characteristic. So if it's a Democrat and they're saying things that sound really good to you, It's because they're lying to you.
And want to keep their job. That's how they keep their job.
And if you don't believe me, if you like Trump and you voted for Sherrod, which, by the way, Donald Trump won the state of Ohio by 9 points. 2 years later, Sherrod Brown wins in a landslide.
That doesn't make sense.
Sherrod Brown is a senator. When Donald Trump wants to put his pick up for Supreme Court, Sherrod Brown, the guy that you voted,
will vote against that.
He did.
Yeah.
Sherrod Brown was the senator. He's the incumbent. So he was the guy.
Well, he'll vote against the next ones coming up too.
He'll vote against every one of them. And as a matter of fact, because of the toxic environment of politics today, it will no longer be about right or wrong, better or worse, fixing things versus breaking things. It's going to be about Trump is for it. I'm against it
100%
automatically.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter what Trump does. You're going to have people. So a vote for Sherrod was not about, you know what, I like that blue collar guy, and he's talking about bringing jobs to Ohio and protecting the workers of Ohio. You know what? I really like that guy. You're an idiot. Sorry. With all due respect, you're a useful idiot, which is what the KGB would call people that they could get to go along with their ideology. So I'm not trying to insult people that didn't know any better.
I mean, you call it out as you call it out. If you have a mental deficiency, I'm going to call it out.
You're clinically a moron. No, I'm just kidding. No, the point is that this is a U.S. senator. A vote for Sherrod Brown. He's not doing Ohio policy.
Is a vote against everything Donald Trump will do.
You literally voted directly against Donald Trump. It's not about Ohio. When you vote for, the Ohio senators, these aren't U.S. senators. The Ohio and every state has their own government. There is the government of Ohio. You have the governor is the equivalent to the president.
But for that state.
Right. So the president of Ohio is called the governor. They also have their legislatures. They have their senators. They have the congressmen. They're all at the state level. If you're really that concerned about workers in Ohio, you need to learn about your more local state level senators, the Ohio Senate, the Ohio Congress. These are the people, and like for us, it's like Lou Terhar is our local state representative. These are the people you need to be finding out. Are they for me? Are they looking out for me? Are they helping me out? Those are the ones. Sherrod Brown is going to be making federal laws and voting yes or no on federal laws and
not Ohio, not Ohio.
Yeah, federal.
Yes.
Now, some people are saying, yeah, well, only Ohio people vote on him. So what are you talking about, Kerry? He represents Ohio in the federal government. That's why we vote for him. So a vote for Sherrod, Sherrod Brown, for those of you outside of Ohio, a vote for Brown was a vote for the resistance.
Stopping Trump.
The resistance. Right. And I'm using Ohio as an example because we know it well, but this is precisely what happened in Montana. Now you tell me, Brian, maybe you could Google it real quick. How much did Trump win Montana? It was like 20 some odd points. He won it by like a 3-1 or a 2-1 margin or something like that. So for Montana to vote for a U.S. Senator, Tester, right?
Yep, Tester.
For them to vote Tester, and it was razor thin. It was razor thin, but that was because Trump went there 3 times. If it were not for Trump going to Montana 3 times, Tester would have won in a landslide. And by the way, people by a landslide in Montana voted for Trump. You're looking at the numbers. You're just looking at the graphic. So, but here's the thing. Those people voted for the resistance. Now, he's a dirt farmer. He looks conservative. He has an accent like a good Montana man does. He drives around in a tractor. He's a good old boy. He looks like somebody you'd love to have a beer with and looks like somebody that would look out for you and protect you. But guess what? He votes against everything that Trump brings up or that the Republican House sends to the Senate for the Senate to vote on, he votes for Nancy Pelosi every time and Chuck Schumer.
Trump won 2016 in Montana 56.2 to Clinton's 35.7.
So almost 2-1.
Trump
it was
took,
more like 3-2. Probably.
Trump trounced.
That's a landslide. So Montanians, I don't know what you would call them, are overwhelmingly fired up about Trump. Did you see the size of his rallies? Yeah. I honestly don't know how Trump did not persuade them that by voting for Tester, he should have said those exact words. I don't think one time Trump said in any of his 3 huge rallies in Montana, guys, I know you love Tester. I know I'm standing right next to his opponent right here, and I'm not trying to insult him by acknowledging that you guys love your dirt farmer on his tractor. You guys love him. He's like a big teddy bear. You like to hug him. But when he comes to Washington, he is the resistance. He would be right in line with Antifa.
Right. Hello.
And all the act that he does in front of you doesn't change that. And so this is the thing that I think that people need to get through their head when it comes to voting in these midterms. And this is why I'm just beside myself that here we are talking about how in the most overwhelmingly successful presidency, and I don't just mean now somebody in the Democrat side would say, this is a disaster because they wanted Hillary to win. They want there to be a Democrat.
The business optimism is up. Consumer optimism is up. Stock market's up. Jobs are up. We've got more.
Wages
are up.
Yeah.
The middle class is making more money than they've ever made before. Wages are hugely. We are currently living in one of the greatest economies in all of human history. We are the only game in the world right now.
Yeah, people are flooding our markets with their money.
My boss, who's on the lower end of the baby boomers, he said that this is the greatest economy I've ever seen in my lifetime. And he's about ready to retire.
And people are having trouble. Like they know they would tell you, yeah, I mean, Trump's a great president. I support Trump. But man, my Democrat U.S. senator, I mean, he wears a blue shirt.
I don't care.
How do you argue with that?
They lied to you. They're liars.
You got to know their voting record and how important it is. You're talking about a guy who's responsible for Obamacare.
Right. Okay, let's get to some of the numbers. We're going to Florida real quick. Here's some of the breaking news in Florida going on right now. If you don't know, Broward County, also where
we're locked up. Go ahead and refresh us. Sorry about that.
Also where David Hogg comes from.
We're refreshing people.
Yep. I don't know. Something's going on with the internet. I'm going to have to change the password again. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You know how that happens. Somebody breaks in. Got to make the password 19 digits long instead of 18.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So Broward County, also where David Hogg and the shooting, school shootings and the issues and all kinds of liberal libtards. Broward County is a bad county. It's mainly Democrat. They are involved in the Board of Elections. They're the mayoral, all the local politicians are all corrupt. It's all bad. Broward County. On Tuesday, Broward County Election Supervisor Brenda Snipes reported, just hear me out, just round numbers, 630,000 votes. It's actually 6,034, or 634,000, but 630,000 votes, round numbers, were cast in the midterm election. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday shows up.
Okay.
And they claim that, oh no, it's not 630,000, it's 720,000. Sorry, we found some boxes. Broward County Democrats have mysteriously, by the Gateway Pundit, mysteriously found 83,000 votes in the past 2 days, and she's still finding more votes. There's also photos. The guy who learned about the box of ballots was hanging out with Andrew Gillum on Election Day. NewYorkPost.com, NYPost.com, teacher Lakeisha Williams with ties to Gillum just happens to find a box full of provisional ballots 2 days after the election at her school, left behind by election workers. So she told her friends.
Left behind. Guess what? They're null and void. I mean, think about it. If you, let me give you an example. This is a great analogy. You're going to love this, Brian. If you go to the food court.
Anybody want to win?
If you go to the food court at some seedy, mall that's kind of not in the best part of town.
Which one's that one that's always, it's the pizza joint that's always in the mall. And it's
Sabrero's.
It's got to be the worst Italian food ever because it's only in the mall.
Right.
So I go to Sabrero's.
You go to Sabrero's and you order up a sliced pizza. And they give it to you, you pay for it, and you start eating it. Maybe you don't, it doesn't really matter. But you're sitting there in the middle of the food court, in the seats and all that. And it's a busy day. Could be a busy day. And you know what? I don't think you're going to make it through this meal, Brian, because guess what? What? You sure do got to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Brian, you sure
Sabrero's will make you do that.
No, I mean, you haven't even started on your meal yet.
No, the side of it.
Get up.
The side of it will make you.
So you get up and you go to the bathroom. Okay. Now, you come back.
Yeah.
Mind you, you're by yourself.
Right, okay.
You don't have your family with you. You're not with me. You're not with any friends or anything like that. You come back from the bathroom and your food's sitting there.
It's still there. Okay. Yeah.
Are you sure you're going to eat that?
No, man, I got to touch it.
Why not?
Somebody might have done something to it.
Well, it might not look like it had been tampered with, though.
I would never leave food by itself.
But you had to because you really had to go to the bathroom.
I'd have taken it with me.
To the bathroom?
I don't know.
Let's say you had to leave it. When you come back, are you going to resume? Are you going to go ahead and use that as your nourishment?
Probably. No, I don't know.
I know. Not even at Kenwood.
No.
Not even at Kenwood. No, and Kenwood's nice.
But you see them young rich kids walking around. They're going to fool with somebody. You know they're going to fool with somebody because they're spoiled rich kids. I don't know. I just make
My point is that you don't just find a box of ballots and say, oh, we can feed these through the system. These are good. It's like leaving Sabrero's pizza on the table while you go to the bathroom all by itself and come back and expect that to be a good pizza. Now, it might be. It may not have been tampered with. So are you gonna chance it?
You can't chance it.
You can't.
Never.
That's the point. You just can't do it unless you're disgusting. Like those people in Broward County.
So Representative Gates.
Yep, Gates.
I keep calling him Getz.
It's because of weird spelling.
Gaetz. Gates.
Yeah, Gates.
Okay. Representative Gates is leading the charge as a Republican in Broward County. He was on with Lou Dobbs, and this is what he is so fired up about.
We should not have our votes diluted by the corruption and by the terrible illegal behavior here in Broward County. This is always the place where it's a problem, and it's because the people working in this building are either too stupid or too corrupt to do their job. So I think we ought to remove them immediately, and then we ought to have the state's Secretary of State come in, put the office in receivership, and I think America deserves to know how many people voted in Broward County. I think we deserve to know whether or not they voted in person or absentee or vote by mail, because only that transparency allows us to be able to identify voter fraud and ballot stuffing and illegal activity. If you play hide the ball with the ballots, then we can never catch you committing the fraud.
Well, okay, so that is Gates going full, but he's so angry. He actually shows up in Broward County. You can see if you were watching that clip, for those of you audio only.
His tactic is perfect. What he's doing is he's making accusations that only could be true. It's plausible. He's going all the way to what is the most extreme plausible thing that could happen, and that is perfect. Because think about it. If we're not sure, if we can't verify that the worst case scenario is not the case, then you must say that it's the case. You must, and that's what he's doing.
They've got to defend themselves. Where did 83,000 votes come from?
He's saying they are stuffing ballot boxes. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Show me the chain of possession that proves me wrong that these ballot boxes could possibly be stuffed. They can't do it, and so I applaud Gates for using that kind of that attack. It's basically unsubstantiated allegations that are plausible.
And a judge has already said that they are in violation of Florida law, the Constitution. They're in violation of the Florida Constitution. They're in violation of these laws that they listed out, and that they are to go there and open up the doors and allow all the votes to be taken, received, looked at, gone through. And so our good friend in Broward County, she denies, she locks it up and does not allow them to get in. So Gates is on the ground with cell phone in hand, going straight Laura Loomer on these people. He's Loomering everyone. And so he gets a hold of them. And check this out, folks. This is undercover Gates.
Coming out. This is not a safety hazard.
The safety hazard is there in this.
Everyone.
Okay, so somebody's on a bullhorn saying that this is not a safe area. You got to walk away. It's a safety hazard. They're putting up yellow safety tape.
Why would it be a safety hazard?
Telling Gates he's not allowed in, and Gates has got a court order to go in, and he's screaming the safety hazard's in there, storing ballots, and they won't tell us what's going on. That's the safety hazard.
Come over here and see what's coming out of this truck.
That's the safety
hazard.
We said 4th and 7th. We have a right to inspect.
Understand what the court order says.
Are you not
I'm clarifying what is missing.
Okay.
So in order to comply, I need to clarify what is missing. Right?
Yeah, but we're going to get to
inspect,
inspect,
right? You don't have to raise your voice.
I'm not raising my voice.
You were just a moment ago.
No, are we going to be able to go in and inspect?
I need to figure out what's going on.
After you figure that out, are we going to be able to go in and inspect?
Once I figure out what's going on, I can have an answer to your question.
Why not just answer it now?
She's delaying. She's literally putting up a screen and running interference.
Stall. We need
Don't
time.
let him in. Don't let him in. Say anything. Act like you're reading it. Tell him he can't come in till you're done reading it. And just look at the paper and act like you're reading it. Like literally, this is so blatantly obvious what they're doing. I have to read it to make sure it's right. Because we certainly
under the cover of darkness.
Why can't we watch what's going on, man?
We were told you can't be here, so you got to.
Who told you that we can't watch what's going in and out of the truck?
My supervisor.
Okay, so they're loading these Enterprise trucks up with something that nobody knows about. There's 3 or 4 different Enterprise giant box trucks.
Oh, it was a bunch. Remember, there were several people scoping from that location, and there were like half a dozen box trucks is what I saw in one of the
Who's your super? Yeah, I would love to see him.
Okay. But until then, let's go.
All right. Will you tell me why we can't know what's going in and out of that truck? And what's the name of your supervisor?
We'll get all that taken care of.
Do you know this? Do you know his or her name? The supervisor's name?
Yeah, we'll bring them out.
Well, what's their name?
We'll bring them out to you in a second.
Do you know their name?
Yes. We'll bring them out.
What is it? Will you tell it to me?
Bring them out to you in a second.
What's in the truck?
What's in the truck?
Yeah, they're definitely. This is some
the
most
optics,
blatantly obvious voter fraud ever. They're stuffing boxes. If they can't, here's the thing that people may not know, because you just go and you vote and you don't really care to know. I mean, I was like that for many years. Why do I need to know what they're doing with this? It wasn't until Jim Condit Jr. Came on our show. Was it 2 years ago? And explain to us the proper way to do democracy.
And it used to be where the public actually witnessed the counting of the votes.
Or at least had the freedom to do so.
Right. If you wished, you could go in and sit in and just watch them.
And guess what? It wasn't just a way of being transparent. It was actually, according to Jim Condit, this was a necessity in order to ensure that the election was done properly and that there were no shenanigans. You needed eyeballs on these people because somebody could stuff a box.
So explain this to me. We've got citizen journalists on the ground, folks. This is a lady, Tim. This is Tim Canova for Congress. video from Joanne Knox. She's on the ground. She's looking at the Enterprise rental trucks. And lo and behold, a pickup truck pulls up next to it.
I know it's dark and it's hard to see.
The hell?
I think like two ladies just walked up there with the provisional ballots, walking back into the precinct, and a bag of, like, the paper ballots. And I said to them, I go, what, you just can carry those around? And they said, no, the truck left them. But the truck's right here, so I'm not real sure what the hell's going on here. But I don't think it's right.
No, it's 100% not right. That somebody says the truck left them. These ballots need to go with the truck, and I just picked them up for the truck. And
I don't believe it. How would the truck be like, yep, is that all of them? That's all of them. You sure it's all of them? That reminds me of that scene in Groundhog Day when the guys had duffel bags full of money because they were in a bank truck.
Right.
And Bill Murray walked up and took an entire duffel bag. Probably had 100.
He timed it just right because he saw that truck every single day to the minute to the second.
For probably hundreds of times.
Right.
And so he was able to walk up, take one of the duffel bags, probably had $500,000 or maybe more dollars in it because it was one of those big duffel bags. And they had two. They brought two to the truck. And Bill just took off with one. And they turned around and looked, and he saw one duffel bag. And they start asking each other, did you bring out two or one? I don't know. I thought it was two. But there's only one here. Maybe there's only one. That's what this reminds me of. Like, how does a truck say, yep, we're all full, and then they pull down the ways, and all of a sudden they have to stop and wait for a pickup truck to bring the rest of them?
Right. I don't best smell this. So now we got Snipes. Snipes, the lady in question, the one that heads up this Broward County. She's the
I wonder if she's related
official.
to Wesley Snipes. Because I don't think Snipes is not a very common name. So
crazy. But here she is. She's confronted in the hallway and being asked questions about the ballots, the amount of votes. And just listen to what she says and her attitude towards it. She's got a very, if you can hear her condescending, very arrogant voice, it's the look on her face is it's priceless.
Dr. Snipes, it is now Thursday. We are still counting ballots in Broward County.
5 pages or 6 pages for each of the people who voted.
But other counties have been able to do it.
But other counties didn't have 600,000.
Yes, they did.
Hold it. She just said 600,000 votes.
Oh, God.
Now they're saying they've got 83,000 more than that. So she just caught herself in a lie.
Oh, gosh.
Well, Miami-Dade did.
Well, have you been inside Miami? Let me get you.
But it's a serious issue. It always seems like
it's a serious issue with me. I've been doing this.
It is serious to her.
But if it's a serious issue with you.
22 sites. We ran 14 days. We ran 12 hours. We had a big vote by mail. So don't try to turn it around to make it seem like I'm making comedy out of this.
I don't think anybody's makes. But the question, but there are serious questions. Why is she done for the moment? We'd like to know how many votes are outstanding.
Should be patient. You should be patient.
Because so it's going to take a while for us to stuff all these boxes.
He said Broward County did it, and they got the same amount of people you got. Or I'm sorry, Dade County did it, and they got the same amount of people you got in Broward County. She didn't have an answer for that. She wasn't ready for that.
She's a criminal, and somebody on the comment section says she's a criminal. Absolutely, and I hope she sees some serious prison time, not just because she personally needs prison time. She does. But she also needs to serve as an example to anybody in a great democracy like ours. And by the way, people are saying, it's not a democracy, it's a republic. Our republic is only possible because of the democratic process we have once every 2 years. And it's being stolen. And without a democracy once every 2 years, we have no republic.
Right. And
ever.
I apologize if it seems like I'm going through the videos so fast, but I've got a whole bunch of them that you've got to see. We've got to get through this. Cool. And this is local Spectrum News. Local Spectrum News.
From where?
Got a hold of
Cedar Park, whatever.
Yeah, got a hold of Project Veritas tape.
Okay.
Illegal voting will be investigated. This after Project Veritas released a
controversial video online. The video shows a Travis County poll worker saying that non-citizens can vote as long as they're registered.
Governor Abbott tweeted he will call for an investigation into an accusation of voter fraud posted in a video by the conservative watchdog group Project Veritas. A sting
operation allegedly involving a Travis County poll worker.
I had a question for you. So let's just say my boyfriend was a dreamer, but he's registered to vote. He just needs his ID, right?
But she also told the poll worker he was an immigrant under the DACA program and not a U.S.
citizen, but registered.
Text on screen describes the questioner in the video as a journalist.
She sent a statement about this, saying in part, many people have become American citizens through DACA and are entitled to vote after fulfilling the legal requirements.
Still, illegal voting does happen in Texas.
There are serious criminal penalties for somebody who's not eligible to vote.
If you're registered, nobody's going to find out. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
I've been told by many people, first of all, our secret source the first time, and then Jim Condit and everybody we've ever talked to about this kind of stuff who's in the know will tell you that if you can get the big firewall between being able to go and cast an illegal vote because you're not really supposed to vote for whatever reason, maybe you're a felon or maybe because you're an illegal immigrant or whatever it might be, the big firewall is registration. If you can get registered, that's it. There is nothing else to do. Not only that, but you will be eligible to vote from that point on as long as you live in that same location.
Snipes has also been in trouble in the past for allowing illegal immigrants and felons to vote as well. She's got a very, very seedy track record, if you will. And this real quick, just a couple of different news articles that are out there. Nightmare in Florida, Part 2. The odd ballot that could cost Senator Nielsen the race. Did a critical chunk of voters in Broward County miss the Senate race because of the ballots? Now they're talking about hanging chads. The ballots layout, ? Is deja vu for Democrats who recall the 2000 recount. That by NBC News. Brenda Snipes' office declares recount, but Snipes skipped her own press conference. She didn't even show up. According to Judicial Watch, of the 140-some thousand new voter registrations in Maricopa County, Arizona, 1,400 registrants provided alien registration numbers. They are illegal foreign citizens, not allowed to vote or register. Illegals are voting our elections. This is a foreign interference. That by Judicial Watch. And lawyers, this is interesting, folks. This whole thing out in Florida, lawyers for Gillum and Nelson's campaign objected to non-citizens' votes being denied.
That means they wanted illegals to vote.
Yeah, well, there's illegal votes that were cast, and they're saying, bull, they cast the vote, they should be counted. They argued to the court that the illegal votes must be counted.
Wow.
So now the news,
you know where he stands now.
Now the news and the AM Joy and all these news. You Republicans are triggered. All we want is simply count all the votes.
Yeah, define all. Well, in Gilliam's case, all means anybody who casts a ballot, including ones that should not have, and also ones that were cast just totally illegally.
Right, and here by AM Joy.
Why are the Republicans nationally and in Florida
losing their collective minds when all that is trying to be done and all that is asked to be done is to count every single vote.
Yeah, and by the way, the same kind of intimidation tactics that we saw in 2000.
Oh, because I don't remember intimidation tactics, but I guess that's what they did in 2000, Kerry.
Well,
Bush v. Gore. It's intimidation tactics.
Let me explain something to Brian, since he obviously doesn't know this. When you're trying your hardest to break the law, you're probably going to encounter what would be perceived by you to be intimidation by those that are trying to prevent you from breaking the law.
Oh, like Snipes, when she was confronted, she was being intimidated. There was tactics of intimidation.
When you're trying to break the law, oh yeah, you're going to encounter a lot of intimidation.
Okay.
They're rolling them out again, which also makes people suspicious, because if you're not worried that counting all the votes will just, in a democratic way, small d, elect the other side. If there's something else going on, that's why you'd flip out, right? Andrew Gillum's not freaking out, and he's behind.
This is a liberal, very racist. She had a blog that people found her blog from years and years ago. She's extremely racist,
highly racist,
hardcore Democrat, and she's only on, I think, on Saturday morning or something. But she's awful. She actually had me blocked.
She's an awful person. Because you called her out.
Freaking out. But this is the tenor of the Republican protests. This is what they're mounting in Broward County, the most Democratic county, I think the largest county in Florida. Here is the way they are treating Brenda Snipes, who is the longtime election supervisor there, who, by the way, is an older black woman in the Deep South. Okay, just keep that in mind as you watch this video.
Carrie, you got to keep that in mind, Carrie.
Why do I have to keep that
Carrie,
in mind?
you must. She's black.
Did she call South Florida Deep South?
Deep South?
No.
Carrie,
no, not at all. Does she even know what the hell she's talking about?
She
doesn't even know geography.
No, it's so deep, Carrie. It's all the way down by Cuba. It's deep. It's deeper than Texas. It's like almost. It's closer to the South Pole than any state.
I don't think these people even know history. Nobody has ever considered South Florida the Deep South.
Well, she's
literally trying to use the ignorance of her own viewers. Oh, you think Alabama's Deep South?
No!
Wait till you go even further south.
Down to Broward County.
Oh, that's as south as it gets. Go into the Keys. Go into the Keys. You'll find out what Deep South is.
Down to Miami.
That's
Miami.
Deep. You don't get any deeper than that.
No.
Well, the Keys is
a little bit deeper.
You go down to Cuba, you are in the
deepest of the Souths of the Americas.
What is she talking about? Oh my gosh, she's so dumb.
If you look at the person, in this case a woman, involved, she has had a horrible history. And all of a sudden, they're finding votes out of nowhere.
We've all seen the incompetence and the irregularities in vote tabulations in Broward and Palm Beach for years. Well, here we go again. I will not sit idly by while unethical liberals try to steal this election from the great people of Florida.
I just need to say before I go to Elie Mystal, Rick Scott ran a company that committed record, epic Medicare fraud. He will not stand idly by while the reckless liberals steal the election in Florida. But he pretended he had no idea when he was CEO of the company that there was record Medicare and TRICARE. That's the military healthcare system.
Hold on,
and
can
Medicaid
you press
fraud
pause?
Under his watch. Okay, that is who the governor of Florida is. He's somebody who is accused of enriching himself in office, Donald Trump style.
So
did you catch that last part? Donald Trump style.
Okay, no, here's the big thing you need to catch there. The big thing she caught is the red herring.
Yes.
She did the red herring fallacy, which is, okay, yeah, I know we're stealing the election.
We're stealing the election. I know we are.
But it should be stolen. Look at this guy. He's got the Medicare fraud. If this guy was that bad with these things, why weren't they having hit pieces, commercials about it before the election? And why did he win the election when he has that's the whole point of voting, a democracy, is that you hear about both candidates. You learn everything you can about both of them. And when you're done learning as much as you can, you vote for the person that you think should be representing you, or the governor, or whatever you want to do, whatever they're running as, and let the chips fall where they may. And if he's involved in fraud, and we know that about him, and yet we still think he's better than his opposition, and he wins, you have to live with that. You can't say, well, he won, but we're going to go ahead and steal the election, and if he tries to raise hell about it, we're going to say, oh, look at you talking about voter fraud. Do you even know what kind of fraud that we got you on?
Right.
I mean, that's what the election's about. It's like, listen, we know that the people, the little peons in Florida, I'm talking as AM Joy here, you little peons voted, but we don't care. We are going to make it right, because we are not going to allow somebody that we feel is too unethical to be the winner of this election, even though
we're unethical.
Well,
you're much, much worse than us.
Even though you guys have voted him into office, we're going to override that because we think that you guys were too stupid to see that this guy's too unethical to be the winner of this election.
Right. We know better than you.
That's what's happening here, folks.
That's Democrats. That's who they are.
We
know better than you.
They're overriding democracy because they think that this guy's got some character issues,
right?
Some baggage.
So I looked into it. I looked into some of the story. I even went to PolitiFact. I went to some very left-wing sites. I had to read through it and get through it. Bottom line is that he had purchased 2 different hospitals to start off his company back in the late 80s. And grew that to hundreds of, and when I say companies, there are hospitals, and grew that to hundreds and hundreds of hospitals, different types of hospitals, different hospice cares, different in-home cares.
And you're talking about DeSantis.
Right.
Or whoever we're talking about. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw a wrench in your. I just want to make sure. The guy that was just speaking, right?
The one that she was angry about.
Yeah, I thought that was that DeSantis?
No, the bald head guy that was just speaking.
Whatever his name was. Somebody will tell me in the comment section in a second here. But anyway, yeah, sorry about interrupting you there.
Why are the Republicans nationally and in Florida losing their collective minds when all that is trying to be done and all that is asked to be done is to count every single vote?
Yeah, and
see, and that's where they get you on that. Every single vote. Every single vote. So here's what she says.
Broward County, the most Democratic county, I think the largest county in Florida. Here is the way they are treating Brenda Snipes, who is the longtime election supervisor there, who by
all right, never mind. Anyway, so, yeah, you got to get his name now. So, no, but when I looked into his back.
Oh, Rick Scott.
Rick Scott. When I looked into his.
Thank you, commenters. The commenters bailed us out.
Do you know who
we just got all the names just scrambled in our brain.
Do you know who I couldn't get out of my head?
Who's that?
Adam Scott.
Who's Adam Scott? Oh, Scott Adams.
Scott Adams. I did it again. Scott Adams. Scott.
I'm like, who the hell is Adam Scott?
Scott Adams. You got 2 first names, and that's however I pronounce it. I'm gonna pronounce it. It's your own fault. You got 2 first names.
He's gonna start calling you Smitty Bryan.
Hey, that's fine. That's cool. That don't make any sense because I got a first and a last name. You got 2 first names.
Oh my gosh! Somebody's gonna tag him on this.
So Scott, tag. So Scott. No, I looked at the background. So he was the CEO of hundreds and hundreds of different. Whether it be hospitals, whether it be hospice care, whether it be in-home patient care, all kinds of stuff. Okay, they were being looked at and they were being accused of overbilling, double billing. There's about 6 different things that they were billing too much or improperly billing, and it came to the point to where the shareholders said, "No, we are going to settle this. We are not going to fight this." Scott said, "Absolutely, we're fighting this. We're fighting this to the bitter end."
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that.
And they said, "You are no longer CEO. Bye-bye." And right after about 4 months after it was announced that they were under investigation, he left. They pleaded out with the government to $1.6 billion.
So it was really a company thing, not him, what he was thinking personally.
He didn't take the money.
That's why he wanted to fight it. Here's the point, though. The point is that, let me ask you this. Did the Florida voters not know that on Tuesday?
They all knew it. They all knew it. Everybody knew it. Because
AM Joy is making it sound like they didn't know it.
What?
She's making it sound like.
But didn't he ran for something else and it came out. This isn't the first time he's run for something.
Oh, yeah, because this was old news.
Yes, this is very old news.
Right. So they knew about it. They voted for him anyway. He won. They're trying to steal the election from him. And A.M. Joy throws out this red herring saying that somehow that we should be okay with them stealing the election, destroying democracy, ending democracy as we know it, because you guys are wrong about voting for him because of these claims against him or whatnot. So, it's just crazy.
Okay, now here's the update. This by Lieutenant Governor, Florida's 17th Lieutenant Governor, Jeff Kottkamp.
Kottkamp, okay.
Kottkamp, if you don't follow him,
Kottkamp.
Yeah, if you don't follow him, you should. He's only got 3,800 followers, but I mean, he's lieutenant guy. Don't make no, never mind. Anyway, so here's Jeff Kottkamp. Here is his Twitter feed tweeting out, the election for governor of Florida now goes to a machine recount statewide because the machines are tested before the election. There is no reason to expect the numbers to change significantly.
Right.
There will be no manual recount on Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis will be the next governor of Florida.
Sweet.
That's done.
What's the can you explain the hashtag there? Because I've seen that a million times. I don't know what it means. Don't know? Okay. I'll look it up.
Okay, yeah. He put that, he tagged that on every one of his things. SAYFIE, Safety.
Maybe somebody in the comments section.
Right. So then he tweeted out again, affidavit filed by Broward Elections. Folks, there's always going to be somebody that gets a guilty conscience.
What happened?
We got a Broward County Elections employee with a guilty conscience. Broward County Elections employee in support of Caldwell. There's a guy suing now in Caldwell lawsuit. Provides eyewitness account of election staff filling blank ballot, filling in blank ballots. When this was reported, the employee was immediately fired and told not to come back. Kottkamp also tweeted out, Broward Super of Elections attorney appears to admit that election office staff making their own determination of whether ballots have been improperly filled out. Outside the presence of canvassing board, they duplicated those ballots and then recounted them.
Ooh.
Polls in Florida closed over 50 hours ago, and the votes in Broward keep coming in.
They must have an army of people filling out blank ballots. Now, this is what I'm imagining. This
numbers real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ron DeSantis up 36,000 votes. Scott up 15,000. That was November 8th tweet.
And it's closing fast as they keep on producing new ballots, right?
Right.
Okay, so here's what I notice when I go to my polling place. And I'm sure, I know for a fact that not every single place around the country is the same. But when I go to my place, I show them my ID and they make sure that my name's on the voter roll. And there's also a signature that's with them before I even sign anything. They then find my ballot and hand it to me. And then I have to sign it, and so they can see that my signature matches the signature that they have on the voter roll. Not that it really matters, because I also have to show my ID.
But that's a double validation.
Yeah, so the whole signature thing is a little bit hokey if you're using an ID to verify. Maybe you could show up to my voter place without ID. Maybe, I'm not sure, but we always show ID. So once I do that, I fill out my ballot. I then go over to stick it into the shredder. I mean the vote counting machine, and it sucks it in. And they got a new feature. This is new. This has never happened before. They have a new feature that will spit it back out if you have any missing votes. That doesn't mean that you can't cast it that way. It just spits it back out and asks you if you're 100% sure if you're done. And if you are, you shove it back in, and then it counts it. Okay. Now voter turnout. Voter turnout is never 100%. Right.
Right.
It's my understanding.
They got 120% turnout.
That would be dumb.
Voter turnout.
That would be dumb. Okay, so I'm not sure if there's an exact number of ballots for every person on the voter roll. To me, that would seem smart. So if you have, let's say, 863 people on your voter roll, you should have exactly 863 ballots, maybe. But let's say they don't. At the end of the day, when you're supposed to tally up your numbers and have them turned in within a half an hour, what if you decided, Brian, we're working together on this. We're working together on this. We're just going to start as soon as 7:30 hits. We're going to lock the doors, and what we're going to do is we're going to start filling out ballots.
Okay.
If we don't get enough in the first 30 minutes, we're going to try. We're not just going to turn in our numbers in 30 minutes. We're going to make them demand our numbers. So we're going to take as long as we need to. As long as they're not banging our doors down, we're going to stay here and fill out ballots. Now, how would you fill out the ballots? Here's what you do. You go through and you find on the voter rolls, which are right there in front of you, the names of the people who have not voted.
Oh, right.
And then you vote on their behalf. So now you're not going to have 120% voter turnout. You're going to have just a higher percentage turnout than what you originally were supposed to get. So you're actually making votes on their behalf. And by the way, you have their signature.
Yep.
You have their signature. Now, there's some people that are saying that there are Arizona. Was it Trump? Somebody said that the Arizona signatures don't match.
Right. Well, not only that, but Bernie Sanders supporter Adrian Fontes overseeing Arizona vote record as Senate race flips.
Yeah, so they had already stole it in Arizona. I think Arizona is going to go the way Minnesota did when they stole the Senate election there for Stuart Smalley.
Yes, Stuart Smalley, poor buddy.
Al Sharpton,
who enjoyed grabbing women's breasts as they were passed out.
Yes, the breast grabber. Yeah. So anyway, that's done. They stole the election. They basically used the exact same blueprint in Minnesota that they did in Arizona. Republicans there in Arizona who were supposed to be overseeing this and being watchdogs over it, they fell asleep, and it happened under their nose, and it's over.
And
democracy is done.
I'm being
in Arizona.
told that Republicans are dropping the ball in Florida too.
Yeah.
The only one fighting this in Florida is Gates. Where are the rest of you damn Republicans? Where's the GOP? Is it because you guys have been doing this crap too?
Well, here's what I'm
just
thinking.
Not as good?
I'm thinking that maybe the Democrats have chosen these locations because they know the Republicans there fall asleep.
Yeah, okay.
They don't pay attention.
Republican Brian Kemp rips Stacey Abrams. If you remember Stacey Abrams, the communist socialist that Georgia that Oprah Winfrey came out for. Stacey Abrams lost by 62,000 votes. And to this day, still refuses to concede the race. Because they're going to find 83,000.
I heard that she said it's because she's black.
Of course it is.
She flat out said that, and it's like, oh, you're so low rent.
Beto 2020 calls multiply among Democrats after Tuesday's loss. Now, I added that Tuesday's loss. But yes, they're now saying Beta 2020.
Okay, so Obama became president in 2008, but did you know that in 2004, before he became president, he ran for and won a Senate seat?
Right.
And so it makes sense that when you win the first tournament, you go on to the bigger tournament. You don't lose the little tournament like Beto did and go on and win the big tournament. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's totally ridiculous.
Right. Man, we got all kinds. We don't have any time left.
No, go ahead. Just hit it up.
We'll do Trevor Loudon because you really need to see this one from Trevor Loudon.
4 governors standing in very important states this year. You've got Ben Jealous standing for the Democrats in Maryland, Andrew Gillum standing in Florida, Stacey Abrams standing in Georgia, and David Garcia standing for the governorship of Arizona. They're all backed by a gentleman called Stephen Phillips. He's a lawyer from San Francisco. Back in the 80s, he was a Maoist radical associated with the League of Revolutionary Struggle, a pro-Chinese group based in the west coast of America. League of Revolutionary Struggle was the backbone of Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition of the 1980s. They ran it for him. The idea of the Rainbow Coalition is you run candidates of colour and you unite the progressive base, the progressive whites, progressive blacks, Latinos, Asian Americans, Native Americans.
I think these days they call it intersectionality.
Intersectional, that's exactly right. But that was their phraseology at the time. So Stephen Phillips married into the Sandler family, very wealthy liberal donors from San Francisco. That got him access into the Democracy Alliance, which is the alliance of leftist billionaires like Tom Steyer, George Soros and others. But they are taking the ideological guidance from Stephen Phillips. So Stephen Phillips has directed a whole bunch of Democracy Alliance money into several southern states. They're targeting southern states with high populations of black and Latino voters who don't normally vote. So the plan is very simple. You run a progressive of colour at the top of the ticket and you win with 51, 52, 53% of the vote. So we are at grave risk of losing Arizona, Florida and Georgia in this election cycle.
A lot of people haven't focused so much on the ties of these candidates. I mean, I think most people think that they're moderates because they come across as moderates, they campaign as moderates.
Right,
but then you look at where they come from, you look at their background, you look at their ties, it's, and similar to Barack Obama, extreme far left.
Look, Andrew Gillum trained for a whole year at a socialist training school in 2012.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, folks. That is for real. That was our good buddy Jack Posobiec.
And this is what we're trying to teach people
OAN.
in Montana, Ohio. You people, why are you voting for Brown for senator when you voted for a Republican for governor? I'm telling you right now, there is no... By the way, Sherrod Brown is one of the leftist, far left person in any position of government that I know of. He is full-blown communist. Now, I'm not sure about Tester in Montana, but he is voting the way Chuck Schumer is asking him to.
For those of you voting for Maxine Waters, those of you watching video, audio only, this is Maxine Waters. For those of you who voted for her at any given point in time.
It was important to recognize what's really going on.
Which is what?
These anti-Sharia laws. They're motivated by anti-Muslim bigotry, plain and simple. Sharia equals Islam and Muslims, and a vote against one is a vote against another, Mike said. Thank you.
Okay, a vote against Sharia law is a vote against Muslims, and that's bigot. You're just being a bigot. You need to be fair and vote for these Muslims in, even though Sharia law goes with it.
So we need to embrace the crazy laws of chopping arms off if you get caught for stealing and stuff like that.
Female genital mutilation.
Right, because not doing that means that you're anti-Muslim or anti-brown person. That's where she would take it. If you tried to say, well, I just don't really agree with that religion. I don't think that their religion should be used as the blueprint for our laws. Oh, yeah, well, you just don't like brown people is what we'd probably say.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is that Sharia law is absolutely incompatible with our Constitution, with our Bill of Rights, with our way of life.
But even if it wasn't, if I just don't want it to be law, I should be allowed to say I don't want it law. I don't need to be somebody telling me that I don't like Middle Easterners or Arab people or whatever because I am not allowing or trying to fight against. She called it anti-Sharia movement or whatever. Yeah.
Well, that's you being a bigot. And a vote against one is a vote against both. What's wrong with you, Carrie?
Oh, God.
Because Sharia is Islam. Islam is good.
Right, but if I said I want to implement all Christian ideals and principles into law.
Oh, you can't say that.
But that's exactly what she's saying for another religion.
Well, she's pandering. I got hot sauce in my purse. Do Muslims do hot sauce?
I think it's curry or something. No, that's Indian.
That's Indian.
Indian.
Middle Eastern.
Actually, I like curry, by the way.
I do not. I
dump curry on everything.
I hate the smell of it, and I hate the taste of it.
Oh, it's so
we didn't get to this, but Jeff Sessions was fired. This by Greg Jarrett. Whitaker's appointment is not unconstitutional or invalid.
Of course not.
Under the Vacancies Reform Act, the president is authorized to designate an acting AG. An officer or employee has been in the DOJ for at least 90 days. Whitaker meets the legal standards, and if the Senate, and this was all set up on purpose, and it was also extended in the 1990s as well. And when I say extended, added to in the 1990s as well, because if the Democrats hold the Senate and the president is Republican, the Democrats can stall all AG. If there is no AG, they can stall to the president's out of office, and he never appoints an attorney general, and he can never get anything done. That don't make no sense. So Donald Trump appoints a temporary acting AG that meets certain criteria and qualifications while he nominates somebody and the Senate mulls over it and looks at it and decides on what to do, a thumbs up or thumbs down. 7 months. If they're still looking at Donald Trump's AG, like they're stalling, then Donald Trump can renew his temporary AG.
Well,
if it goes past 7 months.
We're going to have a bigger majority in the Senate come, is it January?
Yeah.
So doesn't that help the cause that maybe this will be permanent, or that he'll be able to choose whoever the hell he wants, and he'll get the support of the Senate, because now we have more Republicans.
It will be. I was just saying worst case scenario. The reason why I bring all of this up is because Democrats are screaming this is illegal.
I think they have to say it's illegal, because what else can they say?
Right. It falls under the appointments clause of Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the Constitution.
Well, and just remember this. If a Democrat is saying it, there's a good chance it's just flat out made up, flat out lie. And because that's their character, that's what they do when they're telling you something that sounds good, it's because they're lying to you.
And here's one of the biggest liars that are out there. His brother is the governor of New York, which just blows my mind. This should make every Christian cringe, because you're looking at pure evil. You're looking at what the devil has wrought.
Gosh.
First, I would like to offer my thoughts and prayers, because that's what you do when you offer thoughts and prayers. You mock those who lost loved ones, because if you gave it any thought at all, you would never walk away from any of these without figuring out a better way to deal with them.
What?
And prayer? You think leaving it to God is the answer? We pray for strength. We pray for wisdom, for resolve.
This guy's an
idiot. But we clearly don't want to act on any of those here. So what are you praying for? What would it take? How about a stadium full of children of the most influential people in our society, all holding puppies? What if they were all shot and killed? Would we act? Oh, don't be ridiculous to suggest something like... Is it? Is it ridiculous? More ridiculous than doing nothing? Time after time? Listening to these people pouring out their pain, crying along with them, saying you care. You know the answer to the only question that matters. We can do better. And we all have to live with doing nothing. And the next time is coming. And more, you, me, all become...
I don't know what happened to that clip.
I don't know what happened to that clip.
Yeah, what an idiot. I mean, we don't live in a world where you take away our essential freedoms, our rights. These are natural rights. You don't take those away. And don't think to sit there and say that this is going to be the right solution or the better solution or a solution that can work. We just need to do it is no, we're not going down that road. We're just not.
And this and that was so just so anti-American, so anti-everything. That guy is completely clueless. But I forgot about this clip. I have to play this because this was all over the place. This was some knucklehead reporter trying to troll Trump on the Whitaker appointment, and if Whitaker was going to just remove Mueller. And it was a troll question. It was clearly a troll question on Trump.
Involved in the Russia probe. Do you want him to...
That's up to him.
Do you want him to be involved in a Russia probe? It's up to him.
Do you want him to Robert Mueller?
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller? I guess it's stupid because he wouldn't answer that.
And when did you stop beating your wife, Carrie?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't say no. Yeah, you're right. You can't say yes or no. If you say yes, everybody would be like, whoa, he admitted it. And if you said no, it would make news too.
Yes, that's why it was such a stupid question, and he knew it.
See you guys.
Oh, my goodness. The best 3 hours you're going to spend with anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Could have done 2 more hours.
Oh, easily. Folks, go to Smyth Radio, SMYTH, smithradio.com. Click all the buttons. Hit the Patreon. Oh, go to the new store. We got Smyth Radio store up and running. Go to the new store. Check out all the gear.
Get the merch.
Guys, you got to donate to New News Radio. And
Patreon.com/Smyth Radio. Make sure you make it happen.
So we'll be on the ground, hanging out with Gates.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.